that His Excellency, the Deputy President, has found himself in. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Rule 11 of the rules governing this process, if I may, with your permission,
maybe Counsel for the National Assembly.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Just take a seat before you make your rejoinder. Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, having said whatever you've said, what is your proposed way forward so that a reaction can be put from the National Assembly? Are you telling us we wait until your client gets here? What is your proposed way forward?
Mheshimiwa Speaker, I have just received this information. My proposal is that you give me at least the rest of the day. I would like to go and have an assessment of his situation and maybe even come back here by 5 p.m. Right now, I would like to make an informed sort of situation after I see the Deputy President and I see the doctor, Mheshimiwa Speaker, at least an hour or two. Yes, thank you.
Very well. Counsel for the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having very keenly listened to my learned senior colleague, Paul Mwite, Senior Counsel, it puts us in a bit of a difficulty because whereas we may want to empathize with the situation, there appears to be no indication from their end as to a specific proposal. Mr. Speaker, sir, this being a house governed by rules and this process being a time-bound process, I will draw your attention to Rule 11 of the rules of this House. If I may read, Mr. Speaker, sir, that where the National Assembly or the President chooses not to appear before the Senate, that fact shall be put on record and the Senate shall proceed with its investigation without further reference to the National Assembly or the President, but the Senate may, for exceptional reasons to be recorded, permit a later appearance before the Senate by the National Assembly or the President. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think this rule would give us guidance we may proceed. If it becomes necessary, then any additional material may then be availed. This is a time-bound constitutional process, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm most obliged.
Let me pick the wisdom of my wonderful senators before I make my decision on the way forward. Now, I understand that all of you are wise men and women.
Speaker, can I just say a word?
Yes.
I've heard what Senior Counsel Paul Mwite has said. And, Mr. Speaker, you have made it quite clear that these proceedings are time-bound. It's not so much about the situation in which His Excellency the Vice President finds himself, is about the Senate complying with the provisions of the Constitution. That within that time frame, you must make a decision. Reading the standing orders that my learned friend, Mr. Rick Gumbo, has referred to, it would be useful to this House if Senior Counsel Paul Mwite could probably give us a way forward in terms of the time limitations that the Senate has. I'm saying this because we don't want somebody to say that the Deputy President was not given an opportunity to be heard. I think the Senate will want him to be heard. But knowing the time limitation, what suggestions does the Senior Counsel have to ensure that we keep within the time parameters? At the same time, the Deputy President is given his space to defend himself.
So we have two sides. We have the minority side and the majority side. I will only allow the two leaders to speak. If you need to consult in the next 1 minute. Now, honorable senators, our standing orders have not been suspended yet. It is only Senator Mazayo and the majority leader. The rest, take your seat. The rest, please take your seat. Order, honorable senators. Okay, order, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. Senator Sigei, please take your seat. Now, honorable senators, we are facing a very unprecedented situation. At the rise of this House at 1:15, I indicated that upon resumption, we were going to hear the Deputy President. Upon resumption, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, for and on behalf of the Deputy President, when I asked him to usher in the Deputy President for purposes of presenting him to give his evidence in chief, the Senior Counsel indicated that even him, he was unaware of the whereabouts of his client, and he asked for a few minutes to go fetch him, wherever he was. After a few minutes, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite came back to the chamber and indicated that he had gotten information which he was yet to verify, that his client had fallen sick, and indicated that he needed time to go look for him in whichever hospital he is, and that he should be given up to 5 p.m. today. The Counsel for the National Assembly, in response, indicated that this is a time-bound process. He referred to the Senate to Rule 11 of our Rules of Procedure, that where the Deputy President fails to appear, the Senate can actually proceed, or for exceptional reasons to be recorded, permit a later appearance before the Senate of the Deputy President. Having considered the two sides, my directions are as follows: that we will suspend this sitting and resume at exactly 5. So the Deputy President, we expect the Deputy President then to take the witness stand at 5. This is a time-bound process, unfortunately. It is so ordered.
The Speaker of the Senate has directed that the sitting be adjourned for about a couple of hours to allow the counsel for the Deputy President to get hold of him. As it is, our dear viewers, at this particular juncture, the lead counsel for the Deputy President has just told the House that they could not get hold of their client, requesting for more time to get in touch with the client. Senior counsel lawyer Paul Moite has told the House the information he has is that the Deputy President has been taken ill. And so for this juncture, we will be taking you back to the broadcasting house, KBC. We will be resuming these normal proceedings again at 5 p.m. My name is Gladys Mungai, and on behalf of the broadcasting team that made this possible, we will be back with this live broadcast at 5 p.m. this evening.
Kama sehemu ya shima, sehemu ambayo ukalo mimi naliwakilisha hapa, ikipitia eneo bunge la Matuga, eneo bunge Mheshimiwa Tandaza nalo liunganisha hapa, ikifika eneo bunge la Lungalunga. Hii barabara Mheshimiwa Speaker ni kama imesahauliwa na hili shirika letu la Kenha. Barabara hii kama tunavyojua, miundo mbinu ndio uti wa mgongo wa maendeleo yoyote. Na katika sehemu hizi ndio sehemu ambazo katika Kwale County tumezizingatia sana pakubwa katika swala zima la ukulima. Huku watu wanafanya ukulima kama sehemu ya Shimba Hills. Hiyo ndio sehemu ambayo ukuzaji wa machungwa yanakuzwa kwa hali ya wingi sana. Nikisema machungwa yale tunayotumia katika mkoa wa Pwani, 70% yanatoka katika mji wa Shimba Hills na barabara yake haipitiki. Kwa hiyo hata mimi ningemuomba mwenyekiti wa ile komiti ya transport atueleze, aje hapa atueleze wizara iko na mikakati gani ya kuhakikisha hii barabara inakarabatiwa kwa haraka upesi. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Zair.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, I acknowledge the response and the statement from the members, but the chairman will give a comprehensive response in the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, so that. Yes, Gichumu.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, on the 2nd day of October 2024, I requested a statement from the Chairman, Committee of Agriculture, regarding the payment of tea bonus for Kemunye and Umaita tea factories, which are situated within Gachagua constituency. And there was a commitment through the Vice Chair that this statement will be coming, will be responded to within 2 weeks, which lapsed yesterday. Honorable Speaker, this matter is of utmost urgency because the tea farmers from the 2 factories are still have still boycotted plucking, and it is important that the matter be handled with a little bit of urgency so I can be able to give feedback to the farmers that I represent in Gachagua.
Thank you. Mutunga, you are supposed to respond to that. In the last 2 weeks, I'm told.
Honourable Speaker, the issue of tea has been countrywide, not in one area.
Do you have the response?
I do not have the response, but we are getting the response in a week's time, because we are also going out this week to even establish by ourselves what exactly caused the variance in pricing.
Okay.
Of the bonus. Yes.
Thank you. Starting with the Chair Rhodes, I'm told, Zaire, you have the responses. Start by responding to the statement of Monica Marubu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on Thursday, 19th June 2024, the member for Lamu County, Honorable Monica Marubu, Member of Parliament, requested for a statement from the Chairman of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of compensation for fishermen in Lamu County. Honorable Speaker, in the statement, the Honorable Monica Marubu sought to establish, among other things, details of the fishermen set to receive compensation, including their areas of residence, fishing grounds, and state criteria used for the verification process. Honorable Speaker, measures in place to ensure that only fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process. And why the government is yet to implement a fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering that the compensation provided to fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the community. Honorable Speaker, the committee received a response from the Ministry of Roads and Transport through the Clerk of the National Assembly on the 20th of September 2024, which I wish to make. Honorable Speaker, regarding the details of the fishermen to receive the compensation, including the areas of residence, fishing grounds, and state criteria used for the verification process. The ministry acknowledged that the fishermen residing in Lamu County are set to receive cash compensation. It also noted that the affected victims were identified through beach management units with the cooperation of the local BMUs, chairs, and the county government. Honorable Speaker, in March 2023, KPA, Kenya Ports Authority, began verifying and processing agreements for compensation, initially approving 4,026 fishermen. However, a directive from the EACC halted payments for further verification. Honorable Speaker, after completing their investigation, the EACC validated 4,167 fishermen, while an additional 567 names were requested for verification. As per the court order from December 1st, 2022, KPA has commenced compensation payments of Kenya shilling 241,714 to each of the 4,026 approved fishermen and boat owners, totaling to 973,141,852. Honorable Speaker, payments were to be completed by June 2nd, 2024. Up to date, KPA successfully processed payments to 3,887 fishermen, while 139 payments bounced due to incorrect bank details. Honorable Speaker, with regards to the measures in place to ensure that the fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process. The ministry submitted that KPA, guided by the EACC, will adhere to a set criteria. The compensation is expected to be completed by mid of December 2024, contingent on the chairs of beach management units, famously known as the BMUs, providing the identities of the 567 disputed names. Honorable Speaker, the list of the eligible fishermen and boat owners were compiled by officials of the BMU and representatives from the county government of Lamu, based on the following criteria. 1, they must have been fishermen or boat owner by October 16, 2016. They must have been registered with the county government of Lamu as either fishermen or boat owner or by the same date. Honorable Speaker, regarding the reasons government is yet to implement fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering the compensation provided to fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the community. The cash compensation is 65% of the Lamu fishermen compensation amount. Honorable Speaker, the other 35% of the fund consists of 640 million set aside by the government for development of physical infrastructure and support services toward the fishing industry in the area. KPA is set to engage the Lamu stakeholders on the nature of equipment they will wish KPA to procure as part of the sustainability development. A task force, Honorable Speaker, that was formed in 2019 to follow up on the compensation and its modalities. Honorable Speaker, it is prudent to note, however, that due to passage of time and changing fishing dynamics in Lamu County, Honorable Speaker, there is need to have this report proposal validated in terms of the identity of the equipment and the equivalent specifications before the validation exercise. Honorable Speaker, the task force will be required to conduct consultative and stakeholder participation engagement activities in Lamu County. This is a process to be undertaken by the members of the task force before KPA and can move towards a procurement stage. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, KPA has committed to facilitating the conclusion of the compensation process by engaging all the stakeholders involved. Honorable Speaker, the committee also assures the honorable member that it will follow up on this matter and has planned to engage the ministry on the same early in November. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Okay, the originator of the question, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the honorable member and a member of the said committee have indicated that the identification and indeed the compilation of the list of the beneficiaries were done in collaboration with everyone else except the members of Parliament of the National Assembly. KPA is the Ministry of Transport and KPA are functions of the national government. How come that the names and the process was done with everyone else except the members of the National Assembly, myself and the other members included? Number two, Madam Speaker, I have not seen the list of the 3,800 and something fisher persons, that the honorable member has indicated have been compensated. I hope the list is available, because we have had a situation in Lamu where everyone else is compensated except the people of Lamu. We had a situation where people were compensated for land in Kililana for the Lamu port, and these people, like 3/4 of the people that were compensated were people from out of Lamu. So in this situation, Madam Speaker, I can always I can almost commit that the list of the said members of the fishing community are not people of Lamu. But then we will see the list, and then we will interrogate and submit it to the people, because we've had a situation where people are taking the money for the people of Lamu. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
Honorable Speaker, I acknowledge the additional concerns raised by the Honorable Member. As a committee, through the Chair, we will follow up by engaging the Ministry further and inviting the Cabinet Secretary to a further meeting together with the Honorable Member, so that she can come and have a meeting with the Ministry and members of the committee.
Fair enough, thank you. Next, is there a response for the question by Honorable Ruku? He's not around. Okay, so let's proceed to the other statements. You have the statement, okay, proceed. But the member is not here. I think just table the report, since the member is not here. Thank you. Let's go to the responses to previous questions. The response by the Communication, Information and Innovation Committee Chair to respond to Honorable Clive Kiziaro.
Back here.
Are you doing it on behalf of the committee?
Yeah, I'm the vice chair of the committee. Let me respond.
Proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. The Honorable Clive Gisairo, Member for Parliament of Kitutu Masaba, of the 13th Parliament of the 3rd Session of the National Assembly, raised the question below. His question number 1 was, what's the status of implementation of the Kenya Digital Economy Acceleration Project since disbursement of funds by World Bank? And here is the response. Honorable Speaker, the KDEAP project was declared effective 2nd February 2024, following a legal opinion by the Attorney General. The government had its time met the 6 conditions of effectiveness of the project. The ministry obtained a budget allocation of 400 million Kenyan shillings in the supplementary budget to fiscal year 2023-2024 in the month of June 2024. The money was received in the designated account at the National Treasury on 27th June 2024. However, the disbursement of the project bank account under ICT Authority is yet to be completed. The current fiscal year 2024-2025 has a budget allocation of 2.8 billion granted, and the 18-month work plan has been approved by the World Bank. And the second question for Honorable Xairo was, what regions benefited from implementation of the project so far? And here is the response. Honorable Speaker, the project implementation is starting this current financial year, and the terms of reference are under review in preparation for the rollout. Upon implementation, the project will benefit the whole country. Here, the third question. What are the expected gains for the project, for this project? The response, Honorable Speaker, the beneficiary of the project include citizens, the private sector, public sector agencies, students, and civil servants. Individuals across the nation will benefit from wider opportunities participate in the digital economy through the widened access of broadband internet, fiber Wi-Fi hotspots, and the community access schemes, as well as digital access of public services, as well as enhanced data protection. The program places a strong emphasis on digital inclusivity and bridging the divide, i.e. the BWDs, that's people with disabilities, vulnerable communities, and underserved areas. On the same note, we have the second response for Honorable Doris Donya Toto, the women rep for Kisii. He had asked the question 1, measures that are in place to ensure the ISPs such as Safaricom.
What's your point of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. He has responded to my statement. I think I was to be allowed to comment before he goes to the next statement he wants to respond to, which is not mine.
Okay, I think we can allow that. So let's wait for the next statement. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I sought for a statement around 6 months ago. The statement was in regard to a disbursement by World Bank of $390 million, which is equivalent to 48 billion Kenya shillings. Madam Speaker, the response we've had here is not worth 100,000 Kenya shillings. This is basic and simply disrespectful to this House. Honorable Speaker, this is the reason why the chair has always avoided bringing this statement to this House, despite my many follow-ups. He had even confided in me that he cannot stand in this House to read this statement. Because what is written here, I doubt even the permanent secretary went through it before appending his signature. This is a statement written by an intern in that office. When we are talking about 48 billion, and the response talking about 400 million, which again, it goes ahead to say, has not gotten into their account. A project which was funded in 2023 March to date. Honorable Speaker, I'm totally dissatisfied with this response and would like that the committee helps me get a proper response, even if it means me joining them in the committee to get to the depth of this matter. We cannot have such responses after 6 months. You get 3 leaves of paper explaining nothing, telling us that the beneficiaries will be the citizens and the whole country. Honorable Speaker, I'm totally disappointed and I hope to get a proper response on the statement that I sought from the committee chair of ICT. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Nabi.
Madam Speaker, the Kenya Digital Economy Acceleration Project is a World Bank project that is supposed to help not just anyone, but the young people of this country, the disadvantaged people of this country. Madam Speaker, it disappoints me that we are talking about 48 billion shillings. This is money the World Bank has brought to this economy that is supposed to accelerate the economy. And we cannot finger out any single project anywhere in this country. They are hiding behind the word citizens. Can they identify which citizens are going to benefit in this project? Because citizens come from somewhere. The project is supposed to be domesticated somewhere. It is very disappointing. And Madam Speaker, I would like you to find this committee completely out of order, not giving us satisfactory answers.
Okay, I think probably the committee can help the member if you summon the relevant state departments, and then Honorable Member for Kitutu Masaba can attend and get maybe final answers. I think that's a better way of dealing with it. What Is that acceptable?
That's accepted, Madam Speaker, but if they can give us timelines. It has taken 6 months to bring this. If we don't have timelines, we may end the 13th Parliament without a response.
Yes, I think it can be within 2 weeks of after recess. I think 6 months is really out of order. Okay, thank you. Let's go to, you can move to the next statement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We'll do as guided by your office, and we'll invite a member. Together with the minister, we'll discuss it further. Now let's go to the second question, which was asked by Honorable Doris Donya, MP. Her first question was measures that are in place to ensure that ISPs such as Safaricom, Telecom, Airtel compensate their customers adequately during prolonged internet outages. Response number one, internet service providers fall under the application service provider license category implemented by the Communication Authority. The authority has licensed over 500 applications service providers, and they are required to provide quality services devoid of service interruptions. The licensed entities are required to put in place measures that will ensure continued uptime of their services to ensure high availability, reliability of internet services, as well as customer complaint handling mechanism. Whereas the current regulatory framework does not prescribe specific compensation in case of service outrage, the service providers provide for different levels of compensation to their customers. These include wireless data bundles when affected by fiber at home, internet services downtime, data bundle period extension for period of unavailability, no charge for postpaid customers for period of unavailability, apologies, communicate through various communication channels. That was our first question. He had another question. Question number two, clarify on the implementation of broadband compensation and repeats by internet services providers for their customers in the event of service disruptions. The response, the interruption during planned activities or system upgrade, that's maintenance, licenses are required to notify the CA and their customers 7 days before such a downtime. These activities are also expected to be carried out during lowest period of tariff volumes. For unforeseen outages, licensees are expected to inform the CA of the occurrence within 24 hours and outline the measures they have undertaken to ensure minimum disruptions of service to customers. CA also handles customers' complaints on the case-by-case basis. He had another question, number three, where she was requesting outline the steps taken by the Minister of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy to enhance accountability in ISPs and protect the rights of customers, especially in the right of increasing dependence on internet services. And this is the response for the last question, a part of it. CA through establishment framework for assessment of quality of services, that's QoS, of telecommunication service systems that covers end-to-end QoS services, parameters for voice, SMS, and data. Currently, Safaricom, Airtel, and Telecom are assessed on an annual basis. The mobile network operators that fall to meet the minimum standard of 80% QoS performance is issued with a notice of violation. Failure to address may lead to penalties up to 0.4% of the mobile network annual turnover. The framework is currently under review in order to enhance accountability of the ISPs. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Donya Doris, do you want to comment?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My major question actually was during power shortages and when the Safaricom are doing their repairs, which they can do for 2 to 3 days, they don't compensate the customers with what they've lost. Yet, you subscribe every month. So for those 3 days, they've not paid the customers. How do they get compensated? During power outages, no one gets the bundles for compensation. He has not even indicated what I had asked. Mheshimiwa Alpha, they don't compensate. What you've been given to answer is null and void. That is Kamago's response.
Do you have any response? Yes, because she's saying that you have not answered the actual question.
Then what I can recommend, let's notify the honorable member with the affected department from the ministry, and we dig further about the issue.
Time frame? Again, within 2 weeks, since it's from the same State Department. Within 2 weeks after we resume from recess. Thank you. Okay, I think we're done with the next order. Oh, it's a statement. Do you have your weekly report?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I am holding brief for the substantive majority leader for his usual Thursday statement. And Honourable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2A, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 15th October 2024. Although again the House Business Committee still met today to prioritize business for consideration during the week. Honourable Speaker, I wish to commend the leadership of this House and members for the dedication and cooperation exhibited in the session so far. As members will note, Honourable Speaker, the House resolved to hold sittings tomorrow on Friday, 18th October 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. respectively, tomorrow on Friday. The House is therefore set to proceed on a short recess commencing Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, and resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 5th November 2024. I really hope the members who are consulting in loud, Honourable Speaker, are able to take note of the particular dates, because it will be remembered that when we went for a short recess last session, Honourable Speaker, some few members still reported to duty in this House the following day because they were not very keen on when the House adjourned for short recess. So I say that the House is going to proceed for short recess from Tuesday, 22nd October, and the regular sittings will resume on Tuesday, 5th November 2024. Honourable Speaker, with regards to the business schedule for tomorrow, Friday, 18th October 2024, the House is expected to consider the following private members' business and other priority business, some of which are listed in today's order paper. Committee of the Whole House of the Senate amendments to the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill 2023. Second reading of the following bills, Honourable Speaker: the Higher Education Loans Board Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Pensions Bill 2023, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2022, the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 37 of 2023, the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill 2023, the Land Control Bill 2023, and the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill of 2023. Honourable Speaker, with regard to business schedule for Tuesday, 5th November 2024, the House is expected to continue second reading of the following bills, if not concluded. That is the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2022, and the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2022. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, debate will also be undertaken on the following motions, should they not be concluded today. That is the first report on the implementation status of the House resolutions of the committee, reports and public petitions passed by the House, report on the alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya, second report on employment diversity audit in public institutions, report of the extraordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, consideration of reports on financial statement of the state corporations of Nyanza region, third report on consideration of the audited accounts of specified state corporations, and consideration of session of paper number 5 of 2023 on the national policy on migration, on labor migration. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order number 42A, 5 and 6, I wish to convey that the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport is scheduled to appear before the House on the afternoon Wednesday, 6th of November, to respond to the following questions. Number one question, Honorable Speaker, is by private notice number 13 of 2024 by the member for Gatanga, the Honorable Wakili Edward Mureu, MP, regarding status of any negotiation for concession agreement between the government and the Adani Group regarding the management of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Honorable Speaker, question by private notice number 14, 2024 by the member for Embakasi West, the Honorable Mark Mwenje, regarding amount of money disbursed to KERA for financial year 2023 and 2024 as of September 2024 for Nandi County, Nandi City County, yes. Sorry, it should be Nairobi City County. My apologies. Nandi is not a county, Honorable Speaker. And the measures. Nandi is not a city. Sorry, it's a county, but it's not a city. I realized there's a typo here. It's supposed to be Nairobi City County and not Nandi City County. Nandi is not a city. It is a county, but it's not a city. It is it's some village county. Sorry, it's a good county known for very good farming for tea and other matters. And the measures being taken to address the...
What's your point of order, Honorable Meli?
Madam Speaker, the majority whip is actually demeaning my county, the source of champions, the county renowned for tea, sugar and all, and even the home county, almost where the nationalist Koitalel Samoei came from. So you should read his statement well and apologize to the people of Nandi County.
My apologies, Honorable Meli. I really don't mean to undermine the great county of Nandi. What I meant is that it's a county that is found in the remote areas of this country and doing very well but it's not a city. And it does very well in athletics, farming, but the fact is it's in the remote areas of this country. But, Honorable Speaker, question number 167.
Honorable Pukose.
You know, Honorable Speaker, that the supports are the grandfathers of the Kalenjin community. And I would not want Honorable Asoro to get away with disparaging the Nandi County as a remote county. It's not fair, Honorable Asoro. I think that one you should be able to withdraw that statement. With all respect, Majority Whip.
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I hope Honorable Pukose will take judicial notice of the fact that my first girlfriend hailed from Nandi County, and I found that village was very remote when I was visiting that area then. And I also want to inform Honorable Pukose that I was privileged to attend a great school in a very, very great school in a remote area of Nandi County called Kapsabet. So, Honorable Speaker, I know when I say, no, the school is great, but it's found in some very remote area in Nandi County. But I am fair that Nandi is a great county. Question number 167, but it's not a city, we agree. Question number 167, 2023, by the member for Baringo Central, the Honorable Joshua Kandie, regarding criteria used and applied by the Kenya Roads Board to determine the amount of funds allocated to each constituency. Question number 178 of 2023 by the member for Kinangop, the Honorable Gonzi Rai, regarding the issuance of demolition notices against the Makinon Road Trading Center, BOLI by the Kenya National Highway Authority, and also the question number 13 of 2024 by the member for Funyula, Honorable Dr. Ojiambo Oudo, MP, regarding the current status of Matayos, Ganjala, Nahasiko, Nangina Road that was rendered under the 10,000 kilometers low volume sealed road procured during the commencement of the financial year 2017-2018. There is also notice of question number 14 of 2024 by the member for Bahati, the Honorable Irene Joki, regarding the status report on the progress and expected timelines for completion of the Lanet Airport project. There is also question number 70 by the member for Malava, the Honorable Malulu Injendi, regarding the progress report of construction of Class AI Kakamega Kaburengi Road, whose construction commenced in October 2012. Number 78 of 2024 by the member for Luanda, the Honorable CPA Dick Maungu, regarding reasons for the delays by the contractor in upgrading of Maseno Kombeo Road to bitumen standard given the deplorable and impassable conditions of the 5.1 kilometer stretch from Maseno to Opasi to Luanda constituency. There is also question number 79 of 2024 by the member for Yata, or the Honorable Robert Basil, regarding reasons behind the significant delay in the completion of construction of the Matu Ekalakala Kiwindani Road to Kiasioni Road in Yata constituency. There is also question number 127, Honorable Speaker, of 2024, by the member for Laikipia North, the Honorable Sarah Korere, regarding reasons for delay in completion of construction works on Doldo Nanyuki Road in Laikipia North constituency. Question number 128, Honorable Speaker, by the member for the West Pokot County, the Honorable Rael Kasiwai, regarding the rationale behind the stalling of Baripelo Tot Marich Road project that expected date of commencement of the stall project. And there is also question number 129, Honorable Speaker, by the member for Kajiado South, the Honorable Samuel Parashina, regarding the details of the status of the construction of Ila City, Rombo Taveta Road. Question number 133 of 2024 by the member for Matuga, Kasim Tandaza, regarding the update of the progress of construction of Kwale Kinango B92 Road, whose construction commenced on 4th of August 2021 and was to be completed on 3rd August 2024. There is question number 137 of 2024 by the member for Igembe South, Igembe Central, the Honorable Daniel Carido, regarding the construction of Kangeta, Moeteni, Kadelua, Dhuuri Road that has stalled since 2016. There is also question number 138 by the member for Mwingi West, the Honorable Charles Ngusia, regarding the status of construction of the remaining 25-kilometer stretch, section of Kibwezi, Kitui, Kabati, Miwani, Bondoni Road, to bitumen standards, which are stalled. Question number 139, Honorable Speaker, by the member for Matayos, the Honorable Geoffrey Odanga, regarding the measures put in place to ensure road safety on Thika Superhighway and monitoring of the road so as to mitigate the frequencies of such accidents. And finally, Honorable Speaker, on the questions, we have question number 140 by the member for Ikolomani, the Honorable Bernard Chinali, regarding the construction of E9127 Mulundu Shitoli Malinya Lusui Road that are stalled and so the CS can provide the measures put in place to ensure the resumption of works by the contractor. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee, after today's meeting, Honorable Speaker, will reconvene again on Tuesday, the 5th of November 2024, to schedule business for the rest of that week. I now wish to lay this statement, Honorable Speaker, on the table of the House. I thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
I think we can now move to the next order.
Order number 8, the Kenya Information and Communications Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2022, second reading. Question to be put.
Honorable members, I now put the question that the Kenya Information and Communications Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2022 be read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Kenya Information and Communications Act and for connected purposes. Order number 9, the Community Health Workers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 53 of 2022, second reading. Mover to reply.
Okay, Honorable Owino.
Thank you very much.
Do you have a point of order? One moment. Do you have a point of order? Yes, proceed, Honorable Gogoyo.
Madam Speaker, would I be in order? Thank you. Madam Speaker, would I be in order to request that your indulgence, that this House observes a moment of sympathy to the Deputy President, who, Madam Speaker, has been taken ill this afternoon and is not able to transact. Madam Speaker, would I be in order to ask you to observe a moment of sympathy to the Deputy President?
What's your point of order, Honorable?
Honorable Speaker, whereas we all have our own political leanings, I think my brother, Honorable Kongoyo, is overstretching this. We have always observed moments of silence in cases of death. That is number one. Number two, before us is no evidence that the Deputy President has been taken ill. There is absolutely no evidence. What we have heard is that the Senate is trying to trace their new client, the Deputy President, so that he can finish his side of witnessing of a case that emanated from this House, Honorable Speaker. So my brother is misplaced, and his thoughts are equally displaced, and this House has no latitude to entertain such kind of theatrics within the House. And I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gogoy, said by the Honorable Member, I think has just cleared it. It's we normally, you would pay tribute usually, and then the Speaker will allow the members to rise for a minute for a moment of silence. In this case, that is not the case. So I think I want to grant your request. Okay, I think you may proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Before I reply, I want to donate 1 minute to Honorable Dorothy Muthoni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Oluoch for bringing this very, very important bill to this House. Honorable Speaker, it's important to underscore the importance of the Community Health Workers Bill, which is before this House. Honorable Speaker, the Community Health Workers Bill is primarily aimed at supporting Article 43 of the 2010 Constitution. Health is very key.
What's your point of order? Just hold on, Honorable Ikiara.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this House always keeps records, and I'm proud of the Honorable Member, but it's unfortunate that she's referring to a wrong person, that Honorable Lodge being the sponsor of the bill. I'm not aware of Honorable Lodge being the sponsor of the bill. Maybe if he's referring to Honorable
I think you
Martin
can correct
Owino.
It's Honorable Peter Owino.
Yes.
Martin Owino, member for Ndiwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I said Oluoch, but from the part of the country where I come from, Owino, Oluoch, Ondaga are all names for that community, and so I seek forgiveness, Honorable Owino, Martin Owino. Honorable Speaker, I wish to add my voice to this very, very important motion, and I want to state, Honorable Speaker, if we fast-track this bill, it will go a long way in helping our hospitals in managing various diseases. Honorable Speaker, the community health workers are the first and should be the first contact persons to identify various elements before patients go to seek treatment in hospitals. Honorable Speaker, these community health workers will be able to go to the villages and assist people in knowing who has what disease, Honorable Speaker. And it is very, very important to note that, Honorable Speaker, these health workers have been giving themselves at minimal cost. They are paid $2,500 at the moment, and if we can improve this kitty, Honorable Speaker, the government will stand advantaged, because we always say prevention is always better than cure. So, Honorable Martin, I want to thank you for this very important bill and say let's fast track.
You may proceed, Honorable Owino.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the member for that support. Honorable Speaker, yesterday we had a very robust debate on this, and across the board, everybody found that community health workers is an integral part of health delivery system of this country. Honorable Speaker, reactionary medicine is not helping. That is, waiting for patients to get so ill and treat them is not improving the health of our people. That's why this bill, which wants to identify, train, register, and equip community health workers and regulate them, will help a long way in preventing diseases, but also in management of those diseases. Honorable Speaker, if this cadre is recognized and empowered the way the bill is saying, then we will have early detection of diseases. We will also have prompt referral system and client support system and efficient data system. We are not going back to use 3 years old data in order to do our business. Madam Speaker, there is what we call 3Ds. That really worsen the health of the people in this country. That is D number 1, delaying at home. D number 2, delay on the way, and D number 3, delay at the facility. These 3Ds, if we empower community health workers, they will be eliminated. And that will give good outcome of our health across the country. Madam Speaker, if the community health workers are empowered, trained, equipped, and regulated, there will be a reduction of disease burden in the community. They will also reduce death, as we have seen it, and disabilities. As Dr. Pukose will testify, you know, if you identify a diabetes condition early and advise the client to adjust the lifestyle, actually use a very little money other than we would have used in buying a dialysis machine, sessions. So it will cut the cost of care because of those early detections. Even consider the issues of cancers. Right now, people show with cancer conditions in stage 3 and 4. But if they are identified earlier, they will for sure live a life. Madam Speaker, in closing, the issue of funding, and I want to thank Honorable Kuria Kimani for that idea we had. The issue of funding community health workers can be easily dealt with if we invest well in level 1 and in community health workers themselves. That will lessen the frequency of higher tertiary care. Now, the money saved from those reduced frequency can be plowed back into the community health workers. So those who are saying that it is expensive to have community health workers salaried, they are misinformed. In fact, if we invest in community health workers, we are going to cut the cost of healthcare in this country. Madam Speaker, we also put money in primary healthcare. The primary healthcare fund, the integral part of primary healthcare is community health workers. And therefore, those funds should be earmarked for paying them. There's no health outcomes that will come with volunteers, because these people also have their needs. Children going to school, they have their food has to be put on the table. They have needs like anybody else. But more importantly, uniquely, these cards are placed in our community, and they relate to the people in the village. That's why they are 24/7. Somebody who is doing 24/7, you cannot say you are giving 2,000 or 5,000. These people have to be salaried good in order to achieve what we want to achieve in health. Honorable Speaker, much was discussed. I want to thank my chair for health, Dr. Pukose, who stayed in throughout, Dr. Honorable Kimani and Honorable Nyikal, who seconded this motion with passion and agreed that when he retires, he's also going to be a community health worker in Seme. I'll follow to do the same. All of us will end up in a community so that we can discharge this service. With those few remarks, I, Martin Peters, Owino Ward Chief Nyamrero number 1, I want to beg to reply. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Martin Peter Owino. Honorable members, we will not put the question at this moment. This will be done in another sitting, as will be scheduled by the House Business Committee. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, consideration of the mediated version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022.
Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 15th October 2024. Honorable Speaker, in considering the clauses of the Sugar Bill 2022 under mediation, the committee had to address the following issues.
Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, please move the motion as per the order paper up to the end.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that, pursuant to the provisions of Article 113, subsection 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Order 150, subsection 3, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 16th October 2024, and approves the mediation version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022. Honorable Speaker, in considering the clauses of the Sugar Bill 2022 under mediation, the committee had to address the following issues. 1, whether to go the zoning way as proposed by the Senate or the regional catchment area way as proposed by the National Assembly. 2, whether to increase the membership of the Kenya Sugar Board to 14 by adding a member from the least represented gender and a representative of persons living with disability and youth. 3, the nominating body for the representative of universities in the board of directors of the Sugar Research Institute. 4, the institution that will be in charge of the percentage of sugar development levy allocated for infrastructure development and maintenance. 5, whether imported industrial sugar should be exempted from payment of sugar development levy. 6, whether growers should be represented in the board of directors of private milling companies. And 7, whether to adopt the sugarcane zones proposed by the Senate or sugarcane catchment areas proposed by the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, the committee deliberated and resolved the above issues as follows. On 1, whether to go the zoning way as proposed by the Senate or the regional catchment areas way as proposed by the National Assembly, the committee resolved to adopt the National Assembly's position of putting in place regional catchment areas, which will be important in cane management. On the issue number 2, whether to increase the membership of the Sugar Board, Kenya Sugar Board, to 14 by adding a member from the least represented gender and a representative of persons living with disability or youth, the committee resolved to retain the membership of the board at 12 and provided that the appointing authority shall ensure that there is adherence to the 2/3 gender rule and representation of the youth and persons living with disabilities in the board insofar as the practical. On item number 3, Honorable Speaker, the nominating body for the representative of universities in the board of directors of the Sugar Research Institute. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that universities in Kenya do not have an apex body to nominate the representative. The responsibility to nominate a representative of universities to the board was therefore placed to the Cabinet Secretary, who will ensure that the nominee has knowledge and experience in agricultural research in the sugarcane field. Honorable Speaker, item number 4, the institution that will be in charge of the percentage of sugar development levy allocated for infrastructure development and maintenance. The committee resolved to have the 15% allocated for infrastructure development and maintenance managed by the Kenya Sugar Board and shared by the sugarcane producing regions on pro rata basis. This is because Clause 43 of the bill provides that audited accounts of the board shall be submitted to the National Assembly and Senate, hence Parliament will have the oversight use of the fund. On item number 5, Madam Honorable Speaker, on whether imported industrial sugar should be exempted from payment of sugar development levy. This proposal was rejected, Madam Speaker, by the committee on the basis that there was no justification to exempt imported industrial sugar from paying the sugar development levy, while all other imported sugars is subject to the levy. Honorable Speaker, on whether growers should be represented in the board of directors of private milling companies, this proposal was too rejected by the committee since it is illegal to compel private companies to have farmer representatives in their boards. Private companies are private with intentions of making profit, hence should be managed privately. There is also a possible conflict of interest having a farmer sitting in the board of company, as they can easily compromise in favor of the companies at the expense of farmers. The practice of having farmer representatives in boards of private companies was best left as a practice and custom at the discretion of millers and not compelling legal provisions as that would contravene Companies Act 2015. Honorable Speaker, on item number 4, on whether to adopt the sugar zones proposed by the Senate or sugar catchment areas proposed by the National Assembly, the committee, Honorable Speaker, adopted the new schedule proposed by the Senate and renamed it as sugarcane catchment areas instead of sugarcane zones. The regions will be used for purpose of elections and cane management in line with the recommendations of the Sugar Task Force report. Further, Honorable Speaker, sugarcane catchment areas will bring sanity in the sugar industry, as it will bring to an end the cane poaching, which has resulted in losses for millers. This will encourage investments in the sector, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, considered the 7 clauses of the bill under mediation and came up with an agreed version of the bill. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the order paper today, the entire detailed agreed version of the bill is attached on the order paper. Putting into consideration, Honorable Speaker, the principles as guided by my highlights. The Sugar Act will play, Honorable Speaker, as a summary, will play a crucial role in bringing sanity, Honorable Speaker, to the sugar industry and make those who would want to invest into the sector to have a benefit of their investment. Honorable Speaker, I wish to salute and acknowledge and appreciate the Office of the Speakers and clerks of both Houses of Parliament for the logistical and technical support accorded to it in the execution of its mandate. That's our committee, Honorable Speaker. And finally, I wish to express my appreciation of the committee and the committee secretariat for their patience, sacrifice, endurance, and commitment to the assignment that enabled committee to complete the task within the stipulated time period. Honorable Speaker, mediation committee has a latitude, 30 days only. And if you extend beyond 30 days, it has consequences. And Honorable Speaker, I wish on the onset to really acknowledge my colleagues, led by the chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Dr. Mutunga. I want to appreciate you and thank you for your time and input. I wish to appreciate the Honorable Justice Kemei, the Honorable Nabin Abuera, the Honorable John Makali, the Honorable Peter Masara, and the Honorable Walter Wino, who accompanied me, and we were enjoined into that committee. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to thank our colleagues in the Senate that they equally took time, led by the chairperson of Agriculture, the Honorable Murango, and the entire team, that they took a lot of their time, input, ended up even amending and sitting down to propose on how to amend, on how to write the clauses, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to move and request the Honorable Dr. John Mutunga, the MP, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Mutunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to second the adoption of the mandated version of the sugar bill, which has taken quite a bit of time to be discussed across the country. Honorable Speaker, this bill is a derivative of a very intensive process of consultation. Consultation occurred at 3 levels. Honorable Speaker, the first level was the generation of the report of the task force. There was a sugar task force report, which did its work and presented a report to the immediate former President of the Republic. And this report was adopted, and a task force accosted, rather, enabled to implement this report. Honorable Speaker, the second level of consultation is when we went round to every factory, most of the growing areas, and consulted with the farmers and the other stakeholders, the leaders, the politicians, and the millers, and everyone else, to hear their views on what kind of a legislation they would like to have in order to have the industry better managed. And this happened and brought in a lot of information that has been useful. Honorable Speaker, the land level of consultation was the conference, the sugar conference that was held in Kakamega. And at this conference, Honorable Speaker, the report on task force was thoroughly examined, and quite a bit of that report informed the bill as it is now. Honorable Speaker, the mediated version of the bill has been immensely informed by that background, as well as the individuals who come from the sugar growing areas, the honorable members who come from the sugar growing areas, as well as the version of the sugar, the bill itself. There are key aspects of this bill that are worth mentioning, Honorable Speaker, even as I second. The first one is the fact that this bill ensures that the sugar industry is going to be revitalized, ensures that the farmers have got some resources for cane development, ensures that the sugar research and the training institute is going to be revitalized and expanded from the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization. And given some resources from the Sugar Development Levy, this money will enable the institute to move on and do the research on sugar. Honorable Speaker, the other key attribute of this particular legislation is the fact that the money for from the Sugar Development Levy has been very carefully shared out, such that the money for support to the board has been given out as 15%. We have some money for the research itself, for the cane development itself, and some money for development of the roads in the areas where sugarcane is grown. Honorable Speaker, this was a contentious issue that took the Senate and the National Assembly to mediate. And the mediated version of this particular aspect is such that we agreed that this money is domiciled at the Kenya Sugar Board and utilized in the counties where sugarcane is being produced in a prorated manner based on the levels of contribution from the various localities or the various regions where sugar is produced, so that we may be able to attend to the key needs of infrastructural improvement. And we call it infrastructural specifically, Honorable Speaker, because we would like the roads to be done and the bridges to be done as well, because sometimes if you just leave it as road, some of the other infrastructures may not benefit. Honorable Speaker, the final thing I would like to say as I support is that this bill comes out to basically harness the entire industry. It's looking at the industry from the pre-production all the way to the table. It's looking at how we can curb importation of sugar, how we can produce enough sugar for this country and even sell in the region. It has taken all aspects into consideration, and therefore we believe we have mediated a very good legislation for this country. Honorable Speaker, I do second.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to provisions of Article 1132 of the Constitution and Standing Order 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 16th October 2024, and approves the mediated version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022. I'll give a few members. I'll start with the Honorable Onyango Oyo, member for Muhoroni.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to share this very interesting development with my colleagues. As all of you are aware, my constituency is the heart and soul of sugarcane milling, growing and milling. And this development can either add a lot of value to my constituents or hurt them. I want to pay tribute to the committee in Parliament, because most of the issues we are canvassing here, we successfully canvassed them here and passed them, save for a few contentious issues that remained. I will talk about zoning, which is the elephant in the house. It is in the interest of farmers, the farmers I lead, that there is no zoning, because they grow sugarcane with their own efforts. And it is only imperative that when it comes to time of harvesting, they should be given freedom to sell to the best miller, who has the capacity to help them in harvesting, in transporting the cane to the mill and paying them in good time. We have had serious problems with certain millers who want to restrict. They want to restrict the farmers in my constituency. And they're capitalizing on the fact that the government millers are semi-dysfunctional. And they want to capitalize on the plight of the farmers because of dysfunctioning of the factories, and they offer themselves as the only people who have solution, and they want to restrict the farmers to supplying sugarcane to them. When they have no capacity, there's very little they do to help the farmers develop. They cannot do the roads. There is anything they are doing that adds value to the farmers. So this thing called zoning is something that my farmers really detest. I have seen the board and the committee, the mediation committee, has tried to deal with it, but there are lots of circumlocutions. My friend told me that a rose by a name is called a rose. I have seen a lot of circumlocution. We want this thing to be addressed very well so that farmers have something called sokohuru. A farmer can sell his ready, unless, like it has been addressed here, there is evidence that the farmer took loan from a miller to develop his farm, got some fertilizers. The miller had something he had deposited when the need was taking place. But when a miller, like when a farmer, like the farmers in my constituency, has developed the plant or guarded by himself, he should be given permission to sell to whoever he wants. And any circumlocution that wants to curtail the freedom of a farmer is not very good for us, and I've seen semblance of it in this report.
What is out of order, Honorable Chairman? You know when you show your hand up, or I can't see your card, but I can see your hand is up. Chair, what is out of order?
It's not out of information.
You want to give, you have a point of information?
Information. Does he want to be informed?
No. I would like to find out from him whether he wants to be informed.
Okay.
Do you want to be informed by the chair? You would like you? Okay. Proceed, Chairman.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I would like to refer the Honourable Member to the mandated version of the bill. Honourable Speaker, that was one of the contentious issues. We could not possibly lock farmers to specific factories. We refused. That is not there. What you have done is a minimum of 3 factories in a catchment area. That is what the bill says. So if all the 3 fail, then there's a serious problem in the entire industry. Honourable Speaker, the other thing we introduced is that these catchment areas are also considered as electoral colleges. So elections will be done within the catchment area in terms of representation in the board. Again, Honourable Speaker, we also agreed that the representation within an electoral area is going to be rotational by county. So that if it is Kisumu produces a representative this season, the next season is somebody comes from Kericho, the other season somebody comes from another county, as long as they're in the same area, so that we can also introduce equity. So that issue has been completely, thoroughly discussed and dealt with.
Honourable Koyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The second issue I wanted to speak to is about the reconstitution of Sugar Board. During the days of the Sugar Board, Red Sugar Board was very active. The farmers were doing very good business, and they were really harnessing their plants and sugarcane business. But when the Sugar Board was killed, and an anonymous body called AFA came that has very little interest in what the sugarcane farmers are doing, we have really felt the brunt. So I will support this, and I think the body, the amendment committee, has done very well. They have introduced the Sugar Board as per our aspiration, and they have spelled out the zones for this purpose, which initially I was not happy about, but I've seen the rotational basis. I think this will bring in add some value. Then I would like to talk about the 50% levy. You know, during the Sugar Board, there were monies that were deducted for the purpose of improving infrastructural development in various sugar catchment areas. A lot of monies were collected, but immediately with the disbandment of Sugar Board, these monies were rerouted to the county governments in form of cess. I don't know what happens in other, because I don't come from Nandi, they were my neighbors. But in Kisumu, all the monies that have been invested, that accrue from this deduction, have not benefited the farmer. We don't even know how much it is, what it's doing, who is keeping it, and for what purpose. So we hope that this identification, now that we have identity, we know the money is going to go to Sugar Board, that it will be made use of for the benefit of the farmer. But our fear is that when Sugar Board had the money before, they assisted companies to buy road-making equipment. A serious company in my constituency.
There's a point of order from the Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe.
Yes.
It's not a point of order, it's just to inform my very good friend. We walked the journey together, if he can allow me to inform him.
Do you want to be informed? You are being over-informed.
Thank you. I think it's just a matter of correction. He has mentioned that the percentage allowed, now that we are on public media, they might take it as a true fact. It's not 50%, it's 15% of SDL.
So you only have 2 minutes remaining, but honorable members, remember, you are debating the mediated version.
Yes.
So if you are not conversant with the mediated version, you may find yourself taking us back to the initial bill. You have 2 minutes to conclude, Honorable Koyo.
I've closed in on just 3 issues on the mediation version. So thank you, Madam Speaker. I've zeroed in on just 3 issues. I said the 15%, it was not 50%. I said the 15%, initially when it was held by Sugar Board, it was gave consideration to the industries to help develop a road network for sugarcane, for purpose of delivering sugarcane, developing and delivering sugarcane harvest. But many of these equipment that were bought never benefited the workers. We hope this time they will be serious, and we will ensure that this serves the interest of the farmers. Otherwise, I want to support the mediation bill as constituted by the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Koyo. The Honorable Julius Meli, member for Tinderet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this bill, and I want to laud the sponsor of the bill, Honorable Wangwe, and the chair of the committee, Honorable member for Tigania West. Honorable Speaker, this is a bill that we've really waited for long as representative of farmers in the sugar growing areas, and more importantly as farmers, and at the same time as the sugar industry in general. Honorable Speaker, this bill has tried to actually bring sanity in the sector, and I want to say that as the standing orders allow, I shall be proposing a few amendments to it, Honorable Wangwe, especially on the issue of, it is mediated version, it's mediated version.
Chair.
Yes, I'm guided, Madam Speaker, I'm guided. I'm guided on that.
You cannot do it at this time.
I'm guided on that.
But I hope you're not going to engage the chair, education. Yes. You already said that
he's out of order. I'm saying,
what is out of order?
Is it in order for Honorable Meli, a senior member of this House and a ranking member, to indicate that he is proposing amendment on a mediated version of the bill? I think he's completely out of order. And he had started by saying he's supporting
David
the bill.
Kiplangat, member for Soy. I was listening very keenly to the chair, education, and I know that he has a lot of experience, and he has no intention of bringing amendments. He already made comments on that subject, and now we move on.
Yes. It is Honorable David who actually doesn't understand the issues at play. He's excited on the issue. Honorable Speaker, there are a number of issues which I want to put to the attention of members. One is the issue of the infrastructure fund. It is in the considered opinion of farmers and all the stakeholders that the 15%, and I know this levy is actually meant to support sugar growing. When you look at 15%, it has actually been put to the use for infrastructure alone. And I would request that maybe the mover will actually inform me and inform the country how much does it go to cane development, what percentage goes to the cane development, what percentage goes to to other areas within the sugar growing, so that you actually give us the whole percentum from 100, how it is being distributed through. Honorable Speaker, we also have this issue of the miller, contracting a miller outside the region to come and carry the crop outside that particular miller's area or catchment area. It is quite contentious, Madam Speaker, because another miller cannot contract another miller. In respect, in where we grow cane, there are certain millers or mills that have actually gone under. A good example is Miwani. Miwani can't contract maybe an existing company to take up its crop or a farmer's crop within that particular region. It could be proper if a miller has gone under, the farmers be contracted afresh. And for those farmers who are not contracted afresh, let them be allowed to move to those areas that they can be able to sell their crop. Madam Speaker, the issue of catchment area. I come from a county that grows sugar, and I've been convinced to some extent by the mover that it is only in my county where it is split into two, the northern part of the county and the southern part of the county, where I come from. I don't know if this will really disenfranchise the farmers in that particular region, because out of all the catchment areas, it is only this county of all the sugar growing regions that has been split into two. I don't know what is the wisdom.
Deputy President had been taken to the hospital. He did request the Senate to allow him to go find out the status of the Deputy President and report back to the Senate by 5 p.m. The Speaker then adjourned the sitting of the Senate and allowed the Senior Counsel to go and inquire about the whereabouts of or the status of the Deputy President. And so it is 5 p.m. and the Senate is reconvened, and we are waiting to hear the communication from the parties involved and the declaration by the Speaker of the Senate regarding this historic moment for the country. The National Assembly forwarded to the Senate 11 grounds for impeaching the Deputy President, and the senators have been hearing from the parties. The National Assembly has produced witnesses who have been issuing their accounts to the Senate, and of course it has involved cross-examination, and the Deputy President was scheduled to take to the stand. He is the sole witness in this impeachment trial. Among the grounds that were advanced by the National Assembly include gross violation of various articles of the Constitution,
Order, honorable senators. Senator Boni, please take your seat. Now, honorable senators, I did suspend the sitting of this House to allow Senior Counsel Paul Mwite for the Deputy President, one, to locate his client and report back at 5 so that we may proceed with these proceedings. Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, you may now inform the House so that we proceed.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, through you, I would like to inform honorable senators that I've been able to contact the doctors at Karen Hospital. There are a number of doctors, a team of doctors, who are looking after the Deputy President. Because of his condition, I was not able to directly talk to him on the advice of his doctors. He said he must have complete rest for the time being. I was, however, informed by his doctors that he is currently suffering intense chest pains. I did not want to inquire beyond that, Mheshimiwa Speaker. But just in order to perhaps save the time of this Honorable House, let me, as I sit down, invite Mr. Speaker and the House to look at Article 145 of the Constitution, Article 6. Mheshimiwa Speaker, Article 6 of Article 145 says, if the special committee reports that the particulars of any allegation against the President, of course it applies for the Deputy President. If you go to B, have been substantiated, the Senate shall, after according the President an opportunity to be heard, vote on the impeachment charges. Mheshimiwa Speaker, we are aware that this Honorable Senate made a decision to hear the charges in plenary, so that what we are doing in these proceedings, I would suggest and submit we are proceeding under Article 6B. And under Article 6B, this House, by the Constitution, is obligated to accord the Deputy President an opportunity to be heard, which is why Rule 11 of the standing orders of this House specifically provides, Rule 11, where the National Assembly or the President chooses not to appear. And I would like to submit that the Deputy President has not chosen not to appear. The choice of the language chooses to appear in Standing Order number 11 is to be read with the Constitution Article 145, Article 6, which obligates this Honorable Senate to accord the Deputy President an opportunity to be heard. So I do leave the matter in your hands, Mr. Mheshimiwa Speaker and honorable senators. I would suggest Article 145, the sub-article I've read, sub-article 6B, doesn't have a time limit of 10 days. Give the Deputy President, in the interest of justice, given the weight of removing a Deputy President from office, give him a couple of days. I thank you.
So if I get you correctly, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, it is your application to the Senate that your client be given a couple of days. Now, a couple of days doesn't mean much.
That is the application. What I had in mind, I would add the word humbly requests Mheshimiwa Speaker and this Honorable House, the Senate, a couple of days I had in mind up to Tuesday. We should be able to know when the Deputy President is able to come and defend himself. I thank you.
Counsel for the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, sir, permit me to start by registering our greatest sympathies and empathies and from the team, the National Assembly. Of course, issues to do with health are issues that are beyond our control. Mr. Speaker, sir, that said, we also would want to be cognizant of the fact that we are dealing with a constitutional moment. We are dealing with an item whose timelines are prescribed within our Constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, contrary to what learned Senior Counsel, Mr. Paul Mwite, would want to persuade this House to believe, the proceedings before this House have not been the subject or have not been transacted pursuant to Article 145(6). Mr. Speaker, sir, on the 9th of October this year, this House did sit, did pass a resolution pursuant to the provisions of Article 145(3). Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to that resolution, there was a Gazette notice which very clearly indicates that this House was not going to determine that, the matter at hand from a committee perspective, but that the whole House would then be determining the matter. It then follows, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the provisions of Article 145(6) would not be applicable. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the same Gazette notice, you did gazette the 16th and 17th of October to be the days assigned for the hearing and determination of the motion that is before you. That said, Mr. Speaker, sir, we appreciate the place of fair hearing and an opportunity to be accorded the chance and the facilities to be able to defend one's self in a motion such as this. Mr. Speaker, I would want to add that the opportunity to be heard does not have to be oral. The rules of this House permit that parties appearing could elect to be represented, they could elect to come in person, they could file documents. Mr. Speaker, sir, His Excellency, the Deputy President, has participated robustly in the proceedings, both before the National Assembly, where they filed a very, very detailed replying affidavit and a response. Mr. Speaker, sir, if my memory serves me right, let me just make a quick reference. Before the National Assembly, His Excellency the President did file a response dated the 8th of October 2024. When the proceedings before this House began, His Excellency the President, the Deputy President again filed a very robust response dated the 12th of October 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, up to this point in time, His Excellency, the Deputy President, together with his team, have had a beautiful opportunity to present their case. They have had an opportunity to cross-examine in great detail all the witnesses that we presented before this House. If anything, Mr. Speaker, sir, if any prejudice were to be occasioned in the course of this, hearing this matter, that prejudice would be on us, because our expectation would be that His Excellency the President would be able to attend and avail an opportunity for the National Assembly to cross-examine him. Mr. Speaker, sir, taking into account the circumstances that we find ourselves in, having also very keenly heard learned senior counsel speak, matters held are not matters to be taken lightly. On the same tone, Mr. Speaker, sir, matters held cannot be given timelines. There cannot be certainty that if an adjournment were to be given even for 1 week, then there is clarity and certainty that we'll be able to proceed on that assigned day. Mr. Speaker, sir, we would urge that we borrow practice that has accorded to other similar organs created by the Constitution. I have the courts of law in mind. Mr. Speaker, sir, because I earlier on submitted that Article 50 provides for an opportunity, provides for the right to fair hearing, and that fair hearing does not necessarily have to be oral, we have had practice in our Supreme Court where dealing with some of the most important decisions of our lifetimes, including decisions arising from presidential elections, have, in all the elections that we have had parties file submissions and their documents, and that their advocates have had an opportunity to appear before the courts to highlight those documents and pleadings that have been filed. In this occasion, because His Excellency the Deputy President has had an opportunity to present all the material that he ought to or he wanted to present, and also had the opportunity to cross-examine all the witnesses that he wanted to cross-examine, all that is left on their side is highlighting. On our part, Mr. Speaker, sir, the part of the National Assembly, so that then we are able to give progress to this matter, we are willing to take the painful decision to forgo the cross-examination of His Excellency the Deputy President and only proceed with highlighting submissions in relation to the documents that we have filed before this House. It is our humble view that no prejudice would have been occasioned to His Excellency the Deputy President. Mr. Speaker, sir, we urge that if I heard my learned senior colleague, Mr. Paul Mwite, senior counsel, well, he seemed to have been imploring this House to consider adjourning. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me end by drawing the attention of this court to Rule 12 of the proceedings, the rules governing the proceedings currently underway. Mr. Speaker, sir, Rule 12 of those rules dictates that once the hearing has commenced, it shall proceed up to the end. It does not provide for an option for the House to adjourn. If that is the dictate, Mr. Speaker, sir, of the rules governing the proceedings before this House, we urge that being a country, being an organ of a constitution that is that is controlled by the rule of law and the Constitution, you direct that we proceed with the hearing as had been planned. I am most obliged. Mr. Speaker, sir, just before I leave the ground, maybe I would want to invite my leader, Mr. Honorable James Orengo, Senior Counsel, to also just add one word before you give your directions. I'm most obliged.
Mr. Speaker, just briefly, in these proceedings, we are governed by Article 145. And there is a very unique provision in Article 145 that you don't find in legislations to do with even litigation in the courts. But because the makers of this constitution knew that these proceedings are time-bound, there is under Article 145, Subarticle 5, a very important provision. And I think that article is not there for cosmetic value. That article is there to deal with a situation like we find ourselves in, because the makers of this constitution knew that when processes are time-bound, they must be a safety valve. Article 145, Subarticle 5, which applies mutatis mutandis in relation to the removal from office by way of impeachment of the Deputy President, states as follows. The President, and for that matter, it should be read, the Deputy President, shall they have the right to appear and be represented before the special committee during its investigation. Now, the point that I want to make, that not in a lot of legislation you find the right to be represented highlighted, because the Deputy President can elect to be represented either by his advocate or by him appearing in person, or having both the Deputy President and his advocate to appear. Now, I want to put before the Senate, because a lot of you have this problem a lot of time during the elections. If, in accordance with the election law, you are required to subscribe your nomination papers on a certain day, and you fail it, you're running for president or deputy president, and you're told that you must present your nomination papers on a certain day, as it is there in the law, would you feign sickness and fail to represent your nomination papers on that particular day? And I can tell you, if you fail to do so, the law will not give you any accommodation. You'll be out, and there are a lot of decisions on this matter. I want to talk to this Senate very frankly, that Senior Counsel Mwite was basically giving evidence. He has not told us where, or if he has told us, the medical institution where the Deputy President is. But for the Deputy President to fail to bring evidence, credible evidence before the House, that he's been admitted, even that evidence that has been admitted to a medical institution, we don't have it. We will rely on the evidence from my senior counsel, Paul Mwite. That is evidence. But in practice, I can say without a fear of contradiction, there are many times where people are represented even in medical documents, and later on they've been found to be fake, if I may use that word. I think the thing that the Deputy President should have done, we should have had one of the doctors here, at least to tell us about his admission and about his condition, because up to 1:15, the Deputy President was here. He was not evacuated from here in an ambulance. And if I can give evidence from the bar, he went to his office, and again, there's no evidence that he was evacuated in an ambulance. He went to Karen Hospital in himself to check at the hospital. So I think our constitutional duty is to live by what the Constitution requires of us. The greatest prejudice, for me, I was looking forward to cross-examine the Deputy President. But unfortunately, the story that has been told does not include cross-examination of the evidence of the Deputy President, which is on record. But because we are time-bound, and as my London friend Eric Gumba said, we are prepared to go by the evidence in record. The prejudice is to us. The sickness of the Deputy President is affecting us more because we would want to cross-examine him. But he has evidence in record which we cannot test by the way of cross-examination. And there's no assurance that on Tuesday, the Deputy President would be here. Finally, we can also say from here that there are many cases that have been filed all over, including in Malindi today, that has to do with the proceedings that are going on here. So I am in a position to say that this health condition in which the Deputy President is, and I sympathize, may be opportunistic in the absence of medical evidence from a doctor. It may be opportunistic. And I saw him when he came in. I'm not a doctor, but there was nothing to suggest that he was in the condition that Honorable Counsel has been talking about. So do the senators now turn into a jury to make a decision on the basis of evidence presented from the bar by senior counsel without no documentary proof of where the Deputy President is and what ailments is suffering for? I think the more important duty for this Senate is to comply with the Constitution. And we urge you to comply with the Constitution and proceed with the hearing of these impeachment proceedings. Thank you.
Senior Counsel Paul Mwite.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, honorable senators, we all live in Kenya, and I would like to make this submission. These gadgets we have here capture every word uttered accurately, so that if I was found tomorrow to have lied to these senators, sanctions can be brought on me. And I would have thought that that fear of telling a lie to this honorable Senate, to me, is more powerful than even bringing a medical report. We've had many medical reports generated outside hospitals. We see them in courts almost on a daily basis. Mheshimiwa Speaker, you will remember the rush that was there when I was asking to be given up to 5 p.m. and it was a rush. Was I to fail to come back to this noble house at 5 p.m., waiting for a medical report when the doctors there are busy attending to their patient, the deputy president? Medical reports I can bring. If I've told lies, that is something that can be established. And my learned friend, Mheshimiwa Honorable Orengo, talks about giving evidence from the bar. When I was learning, they are seated down when he's giving evidence from the bar about some cases filed in Malindi that I'm not aware of. Perhaps he should have given us a copy of that. Mheshimiwa Speaker, Article 145, Sub-Article 6 is clear, and I do not want to take time of this august House, Senate. Going back to it, it applies, and I would plead with you and with honorable senators to give us until Tuesday to see whether the deputy president will be well enough. No one decides when to get sick and when not to get sick. I am sure many honorable senators here will have a story of their shock because of having spent an evening with somebody, then the following day they hear that the person is gone. Yet that person was looking good and healthy. Let's be humane. Let's be compassionate. Tuwe na utu kidogo. Tuesday, the heavens are not falling down to join with the earth. I thank you, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, there is a hypothetical question that was raised by Senior Counsel Orengo. Assuming, and it's just an assumption, assuming the Senate is inclined to grant your client up to Tuesday, and by Tuesday, your client is unable to attend Senate, what then will be the way forward?
Mheshimiwa Speaker, I would submit the best thing is for this honorable House, honorable Senate, to make a decision on facts rather than assuming what may or may not happen. Point number one. Point number two, Mheshimiwa Speaker, is the importance of honorable senators seeing with their own eyes how a witness withstands cross-examination. There are many times when different impressions will be given by a written document, and yet when cross-examination takes place, individuals change their minds. One can only make a decision on whether this witness is believable or not believable when they see his demeanor in person. So there's nothing to replace orality through cross-examination. There are many witnesses whose statements will be impressive, and yet when they begin to give evidence orally, that impression changes completely on the mind of the jury. The deputy president wishes to subject himself to cross-examination, wishes under oath to deal with the evidence given adverse to him by witnesses here, so that honorable senators can have an opportunity of making a decision. Is it the deputy president we shall believe, or is it those other witnesses? That opportunity can only come through orality and through cross-examination. So what this House elects to do, that decision, this House, Mheshimiwa Speaker, they will make on Tuesday. I am always an optimist. So I am living in the belief that the doctors may be able to put whatever is wrong with the deputy president back in place so that he can be here on Tuesday, Mr. Speaker. If he's not here, let that decision of what this honorable Senate will then do be made on Tuesday. That is a humane way of going about a matter about no one had control of. I thank you.
Now, honorable senators, having listened to the counsel for the deputy president, as well as the counsel for the National Assembly, I need to consider those arguments and give my considered ruling in this matter. I will therefore suspend for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and I'll be back. Arise.
You are watching live pictures from the floor of the Senate, where the House has briefly adjourned. The Speaker of the Senate is expected to come back and give a ruling on the way forward. The council representing the Deputy President has requested that the team be given until Tuesday so that the Deputy President can be given the opportunity to be heard before the Senate takes a decision on the impeachment motion that was forwarded to the Senate by the National Assembly. The National Assembly, through its council, has submitted to the Senate that the evidence that was adduced by the Deputy President in writing be considered in this matter. The National Assembly, also through its legal counsel, has also told the Senate that it is willing to forego the cross-examination of the Deputy President, who was to appear as the sole witness in this historic trial in the Senate. The National Assembly did forward to this House 11 grounds of impeachment, which it believes that it has presented enough evidence to warrant the impeachment of the Deputy President. Among the grounds that the National Assembly did advance is the gross violation of Article 10, Sub-Article 2A of the Constitution, and B and C, Article 27, Sub-Article 4, Article 73, Sub-Article 1A, and Article 2B of the Constitution. The National Assembly, in its submission during this trial, did say that the matter of constitutional compliance, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, who is the principal assistant to the President of the Republic of Kenya, is required to promote constitutional core values such as peace and unity of all Kenyans in the context of ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, patriotism, national unity, rule of law, democracy and participation of the people, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination and protection of the marginalized, and good governance. It will also respect and uphold representation of Kenya's multi-ethnic and culturally diverse society through the promotion of equality and affording equal opportunities to all Kenyans in appointments to the public service and allocation of public resources, and to promote and implement public policy decisions that do not discriminate against any Kenyan based on conscience, ethnic or social origin, language or birth. In its argument, the National Assembly said that on diverse dates throughout the last 2 years, His Excellency the Deputy President has persistently made utterances threatening to discriminate, exclude and unlawfully deny sections of the people of Kenya and regions of the Republic of Kenya equal opportunities for public service appointments and allocation of public resources. Besides, the utterances are highly inflammatory and insightful and significantly undermine national unity and the peaceful coexistence of Kenya's diverse communities. In forwarding its evidence to the Senate for the purpose of this trial, the National Assembly did illustrate instances where it believes the Deputy President has been on record committing the said violations. Ground 2, gross violation of Article 147, Sub-Article 1, and Article 152, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution. The National Assembly states that Article 147, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution provides that the Deputy President shall be the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize for the President in the execution of the President's functions. In addition, Article 152, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution states that the Deputy President is a member of the Cabinet. The National Assembly argues that on various dates throughout the last 2 years, His Excellency the Deputy President undermined the President and the Cabinet and the effective discharge of the national government's executive mandate by making unilateral public statements that were inconsistent with policy positions collectively adopted by the government. Under this charge, the National Assembly has moved to illustrate instances and occasions in which it deems the Deputy President to have committed this offense, that on or around 30th of April 2024, the Cabinet passed a resolution for the evacuation of people residing along the Nairobi River. Shortly after that, His Excellency the Deputy President made a public statement opposing the Nairobi River riparian evacuation orders, which the National Assembly argues that the Cabinet had sanctioned for public safety and climate change mitigation. His Excellency the Deputy President made contradictory public statements despite being a member of the Cabinet and being assigned the function of superintending the Nairobi River riparian evacuation order. In addition, the National Assembly argues that His Excellency the Deputy President has on several occasions throughout the last 2 years made public statements contradicting the President on critical matters of governance and the exercise of the President's functions as a symbol of national unity. It has also tried to illustrate that in March 2023, at a public forum in the Nyanza region, the President said Kenya belongs to all, notwithstanding how people voted in 2022 general elections, and that he would ensure the government does not discriminate against anyone. However, His Excellency the Deputy President, speaking after the President at another public forum, contradicted him by saying that Kenya is a company in which the provision of government services is based on shares. That His Excellency the Deputy President has made numerous other utterances at public forums where he publicly restates the division narrative that Kenya is a company in which the rights of citizens are based on shares determined by how various ethnic communities voted in the 2022 general election. The National Assembly argues that the Deputy President's unilateral, divisive, and insightful public statements are impeachable offences to the extent that they undermine the effective discharge of the national government's executive mandate, that they violate the doctrine of collective responsibility, and that they are equivalent to insubordination of the President, which is incompatible with his constitutional status as the principal assistant to the President of the Republic of Kenya. Ground 3, gross violation of Article 6, Sub-Article 2, Article 10, Sub-Article 2A, Article 174, Article 186, Sub-Article 1, Article 189, Sub-Article 1, and the 4th Schedule to the Constitution. This, quote-unquote, undermining devolution. The National Assembly, in its submission in this trial, argues that Article 10, Sub-Article 2A of the Constitution provides that devolution is a fundamental national value and principle of governance. In addition, Article 6, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution provides that government at the county and national levels are distinct and interdependent and shall conduct their mutual relations based on consultation and cooperation. These provisions, the National Assembly argues, that are supplemented by Article 189, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution, which provides that governments at each level shall perform and exercise their powers in a matter that respects the functional and institutional integrity of government at the other level. Under paragraph 7A of Part 2 of the 4th Schedule to the Constitution, county governments are responsible for trade development and markets as an exclusive function. Moreover, the Deputy President chairs the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, which the National Assembly argues is an essential organ for consultation between the two levels of government. In its submission before the Senate, the National Assembly, through its legal representatives, say that on or around 20th September 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, recklessly and mindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic, unlawfully interfered with the running of Nairobi City County Government by holding a public rally in which he incited citizens against lawful directives of the Nairobi City County Government on the planning and the location of markets. Further, the National Assembly argues that His Excellency, the Deputy President, publicly disparaged the leadership of the Nairobi City County Government and its decisions. Moreover, the Deputy President has interfered with the proper discharge of county government's constitutional functions regarding alcohol and control and regulations. His Excellency, the Deputy President's insightful and demeaning public statements and conduct are impeachable offences to the extent that they undermine devolution. This is according to the submission by the National Assembly, and that they undercut the functional and institutional integrity of county governments. They unjustifiably vilify and ridicule the leadership of county governments, especially the Nairobi City County Government. Consequently, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, according to the National Assembly, has grossly violated Article 6, Sub-Article 2, Article 10, Sub-Article 2A, Article 174, Article 186, Sub-Article 1, and Article 189, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution as read with the fourth schedule to the Constitution. Ground 4, the National Assembly accuses the Deputy President of gross violation of Article 160, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution, which talks about the undermining of institutional and decisional independence of judges. In its submission, the National Assembly argues that Article 160, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution provides that the judiciary shall be subject only to this Constitution and the law, and shall not be subject to the control or direction of any person or authority. Any international law instruments, treaties, and principles require the guarantee of the judiciary's independence and require all government officers and institutions to respect and observe it. In 2023, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, according to the National Assembly, recklessly and mindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and the need to respect, protect, and uphold the independence of the judiciary, made a scathing public attack against the Honorable Lady Justice Esther Maina, Judge of the High Court of Kenya, and falsely threatened to file a petition for the removal of the said judge in gross violation of Article 160, Sub-Article 5 of the Constitution. The Honorable Judge, according to the National Assembly, had presided over a case in which His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua was a party and had, in the lawful performance of a judicial function, ordered His Excellency the Deputy President to forfeit to the state the sum of 200 million shillings, which he had found to be proceeds of corruption and money laundering. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's public attacks, according to the National Assembly, are impeachable offences to the extent that they undermine the functional and decisional independence of judges. If you're just joining us, these are live pictures from the Senate chambers, where the trial has taken a short break. The Speaker has gone to draw a ruling on the way forward for this trial, where the Deputy President has been unable to appear to take to the witness stand. His legal representative, led by Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, has asked the Senate to give the Deputy President until Tuesday next week, and thereafter make a decision on the way forward. The National Assembly, through its legal representatives, led by Senior Counsel James Orengo, urged the Senate to consider the evidence that has already been forwarded by the Deputy President. Quoting the law, the National Assembly, through its legal representatives, argued that having forwarded the evidence in writing, there may be no need to have the Deputy President give his account. The team argued that this Senate can make a decision on that, and it is willing to forego the cross-examination of the witness, who is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. So we are waiting for the Speaker to make a ruling on this request by the Council representing the Deputy President. Ground 5 of the Ground 5 that the National Assembly believes is an impeachable offence is the gross violation of Article 3, Sub-Article 1, and Article 148, Sub-Article 5A of the Constitution, which talks about the breach of the oath of office and allegiance. The National Assembly, in impeaching the Deputy President, argued that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's actions and utterances outlined in Ground 1, 2, 3, and 4 constitute a gross violation of Article 3, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution, which requires every person to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. Further, the actions and utterances of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua grossly violate Article 148, Sub-Article 5A of the Constitution, which prescribes the oath of allegiance of the office of the Deputy President that obligates the Deputy President to obey, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. There's also serious reasons, according to the National Assembly, to believe that the Deputy President has committed a crime under national law pursuant to Article 150, Sub-Article 1B, Part 2 of the Constitution. Under Ground 6, the National Assembly, in its submission, argues that there are serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Sections 13, Subsection 1A, and Section 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act. Section 13 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act provides that it is an offense for any person to use threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior where the person intends to stir up feelings of ethnic contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination. The section also makes it an offense to use such words or engage in such behavior when having regard to all the circumstances ethnic hatred is likely to be stirred up. The National Assembly argues that besides, Section 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act states that a person commits an offense when the person makes statements that are intended or are likely to stir up feelings of ethnic contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's persistent, inflammatory, reckless, insightful public utterances over the last 2 years, according to the National Assembly, details of which are set out in Grounds 1, 2, 3, and 4, establish serious reasons to believe that he has committed crimes under Section 13, Subsection 1, and Section 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act. Ground 7, serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crime under Sections 45, Subsection 1, Section 46, Section 47A, Part 3, and Section 48, Subsection 1 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, and Section 2, 3, 4, and 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act. But for the past 2 years, His Excellency the Deputy President has inexplicably amassed a humongous property portfolio estimated at 5.2 billion shillings, primarily from proceeds of corruption and money laundering. The value of the property and wealth that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has acquired, according to the National Assembly, over the last 2 years is incompatible with his non-legitimate income, that is 12 million shillings per annum or thereabouts. That His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has acquired the above-mentioned property and wealth using his 2 sons, Kevin Rigathi Gachagua, or Kevin Gachagua, and Keith Ikenu Rigathi, and other close family members and associates as proxies. The National Assembly argues that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua and his proxies, especially the 2 sons, have used a number of companies to massively launder money, conceal proceeds of crime, corruption, and benefit from influence peddling. Anytime from now, we will hand you over to the live proceedings of the Senate, where we do expect in a couple of moments the Speaker of the Senate will walk into the chambers to deliver that much-awaited ruling on the way forward. The senators are making their way into the chamber, taking their seats, signaling probably the imminent arrival of the Speaker of the Senate. Just a quick recap. The Speaker adjourned the sitting briefly to draft a ruling on the request by the senior counsel Paul Mwite, representing the Deputy President in this historic trial. The senior counsel told the Senate that the Deputy President had fallen ill and he had been in contact with his doctors at the current hospital, and he also did indicate that he didn't speak directly to the Deputy President on orders by the doctors who are continuing to examine the Deputy President. And in response, the National Assembly, through its legal team, argued that they do not need to cross-examine the Deputy President, who was scheduled to take to the witness stand, but the Senate should consider using the evidence presented by the Deputy President in his submission to make a decision. The National Assembly, through its legal representatives, argued that the matter before the Senate has strict timelines, and so it should be dispensed with. And that is the decision that we are now waiting for the Speaker to make. Ground 8 is serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 132 of the Penal Code and Section 29 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. That His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has continuously misled members of the public through false, malicious, divisive and insightful remarks that are contrary to the provisions of Section 132 of the Penal Code and Section 29 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. The National Assembly has illustrated in its submission to this trial that sometime in January 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua made a sensational but false accusation that Honorable Justice Esther Maina, Judge of the High Court of Kenya, had engaged in corruption. He publicly, according to the National Assembly, said he would present a petition for the removal of the said judge, which he has not done to date. But this was amended during cross-examination yesterday of the mover of this motion, Honorable Ekamas Mwenge Mutuse, who said that he has been made aware that the Deputy President has indeed presented a petition for the removal of the said judge. There on your screen is the clerk of the Senate. And now we await for the arrival of the Speaker of the Senate. Currently, the bell is being rung, and we now await the arrival of the Speaker. Ground 9. And there is the Speaker of the Senate, who is now walking into the chambers. This broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation.
Order, honorable senators. Let me apologize, I've taken more than the 5 minutes. The matters that had been raised are weighty, but I'm ready with my ruling and I proceed to deliver it. Honorable senators, ladies and gentlemen, as you will recall, before the rise of the Senate at 1:15 p.m., the Senate had concluded the hearing of the case of the National Assembly. This included the evidence laid by the National Assembly, including the calling of its witnesses who were examined, cross-examined by counsel for the Deputy President, and re-examined. As the House adjourned, I directed that, as contained in the hearing program in this matter, of the determination of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, on resumption at 2:30 p.m., the Senate will hear the case of the Deputy President for 2 hours, comprising examination in chief and re-examination, while the National Assembly will have a period of 1 hour and 55 minutes for cross-examination. When the Senate resumed at 2:30 p.m., when the opportunity came for the Deputy President's side to commence its case, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, counsel for the Deputy President, informed the Senate that he did not know the whereabouts of his client and sought to be allowed a little time to establish where he was. Thereafter, he informed the Senate that he had learned that his client had been taken ill. Asked how he proposed that the Senate proceeds, counsel for the Deputy President requested for time, possibly up to 5 p.m., to try to meet his client before advising on the way forward. Counsel for the National Assembly, when asked to comment on the circumstances, argued that, unfortunate as the situation was, this being a constitutionally time-bound process, it was imperative that, pursuant to Rule 11 of Part 1 of the second schedule to the Senate Standing Orders, the proceedings proceed. Now, I'll read Rule 11. It provides thus: where the National Assembly or the Deputy President chooses not to appear before the Senate, that fact shall be put on record, and the Senate shall proceed with its investigations without further reference to the National Assembly or the Deputy President. But the Senate may, for exceptional reasons to be recorded, permit a later appearance before the Senate by the National Assembly or the Deputy President. Now, honorable senators, it is also noteworthy that Rule 12 provides as follows: subject to these rules, the hearing of the evidence, once it commences, shall proceed and continue until the Senate conclude the hearing of the matter. Following the representation made by counsel for the parties, I suspended the proceedings of the Senate up to 5 p.m. to allow counsel for the Deputy President to report the status of his client. When the sitting of the Senate resumed at 5 p.m., Senior Counsel Paul Mwite informed the Senate that indeed he had contacted doctors at Karen Hospital who were attending to the Deputy President. He further stated that owing to the condition of the Deputy President, he had not been able to access the Deputy President or talk to him. Senior Counsel then proceeded to cite Article 145(6), observing that although the Senate had opted to proceed by way of hearing the matter in plenary, and while Article 145(6) provides for the hearing of the matter by way of special committee, the provision obligates the Senate to accord the Deputy President an opportunity to be heard before a vote is taken on the impeachment charges. He further cited Rule 11 of Part 1 of the second schedule to the Senate Standing Orders, stating that in accordance with the provisions, the Deputy President had chosen to appear and be presented in these proceedings. Counsel for the Deputy President further submitted that the right of the Deputy President to be given an opportunity to be heard under Article 145(6)(b) of the Constitution is not limited by the 10-day timeline otherwise provided for in this matter. In the end, relying on these provisions, Counsel for the Deputy President requested that the Senate adjourns the matter to Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024, to enable his client time to be attended to by his doctors. In response, Counsel for the National Assembly, Mr. Gumbo, registered his sympathies to the Deputy President. On the other hand, he noted that the health matters are matters that are beyond human control. However, he noted that the matter at hand was one that was governed by constitutional timelines. Counsel further indicated that Article 145(6) of the Constitution applied to impeachment proceedings in committee and was not therefore relevant to the present proceedings, which had been convened by dint of Article 145(3) of the Constitution. Counsel observed that the dates for the hearing had, by Gazette notice, been set at 16th and 17th of October 2024. Counsel therefore went ahead to observe that His Excellency the Deputy President had robustly participated in the proceedings by filing detailed responses to the allegations as set out by the National Assembly and through various submissions made in the course of the hearing, including cross-examination of witnesses. Counsel then indicated that if any prejudice was to be suffered by the failure of the Deputy President to testify and be cross-examined, this will be on the part of the National Assembly, which had the legitimate expectation of testing the evidence of the Deputy President through cross-examination. Counsel then referred to the practice in the courts, including the Supreme Court, where parties are allowed to file respective submissions, and the advocates are then allowed to appear and highlight their submissions. Counsel argued that noting the Deputy President had filed detailed responses and had the opportunity to cross-examine the witnesses of the National Assembly, the health status of the Deputy President, and the constitutional timelines, and borrowing the practices of the courts, the National Assembly was willing to forego the cross-examination of the Deputy President and requested that both parties be allowed to highlight their submissions during their closing statements. Senior Counsel James Orengo had similar sentiments and cited Article 145(5) of the Constitution, arguing that the right to appear and be represented include the right to be represented by counsel. He argued that the Senate that the greater duty was to comply with the Constitution, and that the Senate could not accordingly go outside the timelines as set out in the Constitution. It is noted that the present hearing was convened via Gazette Notice 163, Volume CXXV1, dated the 9th of October 2024. Via that Gazette Notice, I appointed Wednesday, 16th October 2024, as the date for the commencement of the hearing, and further that the hearing will run up to the conclusion of the hearing on Thursday, the 17th of October 2024. As presently convened, therefore, today at midnight, unless midnight finds the Senate in the course of division, marks the end of the period for the hearing of the present impeachment matter. As this process is time-bound by the Constitution to be concluded in not more than 10 days, pursuant to Article 145 as read together with Article 150 of the Constitution, and noting that the period provided for ends on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024, the only window open to the Senate, if it so oblige the request for adjournment sought by counsel for the Deputy President, will be to gazette Saturday, the 19th of October 2024 as a further and final day for hearing of this matter. Now, honorable senators, ladies and gentlemen, such a request is not made to the Speaker, but to the Senate, and is accordingly a matter for the Senate to determine. To facilitate this decision, I direct the Clerk of the Senate to circulate a supplementary order paper incorporating a notice of motion and a motion for adjournment sought. This being a procedural matter, The motion, if carried, will result in the Speaker gazetting Saturday, the 19th of October 2024 as a sitting day to conclude the hearing and determination of this matter, this being the last day allowed by the Constitution of Kenya for these proceedings to conclude. Needless to say, if the motion is not carried, the decision of the Senate will be that this hearing continues to conclusion in the manner provided for under Rule 12. In such event, the hearing will continue as set out in the program, with the parties moving to make their closing statements. Now, honorable senators, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, let me take this opportunity on my own behalf and on behalf of the Senate to convey our sincere sympathies and best wishes for a quick recovery to His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Next to the clerk. Now, honorable senators, you have been circulated with the supplementary order paper. That is the order paper that we are going to use from now going forward. Clerk, now, honorable senators, this being a procedural motion, you don't need to give notice. So when the order is read out, the majority leader will be called upon to move. Clerk, call the order, please. Honorable senators, please let us be seated.
Order number 2, procedural motion to hold sittings on Saturday, 19th October 2024.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to move this procedural motion, which is for the Senate to hold sittings on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024. That aware that the National Assembly on the 8th of October 2024 resolved with the support of 282 members, being at least two-thirds of all the members of the National Assembly, that pursuant to the provisions of Article 145(2), as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution and the Standing Order 65(2) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, be removed from office by impeachment on the ground specified in the motion. Whereas by letter reference NA/DLP/TBO/MTS/2024-025, dated the 8th of October 2024 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 9th of October 2024, and on the 9th of October 2024, the Speaker of the National Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the special motion by the National Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the National Assembly. And whereas via Kenya Gazette number 137/18, volume CXX V1 number 163, dated 9th of October 2024, and Article 145(3)(a) of the Constitution, the Speaker of the Senate appointed Wednesday the 16th of October 2024 and Thursday the 17th of October 2024 as sittings convened for the purpose of hearing the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, by plenary. Further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151B and 2 of the Constitution and Standing Orders number 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate had the National Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by way of impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151B and 2 of the Constitution and Standing Orders number 178, and Standing Order number 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate also had the counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, during cross-examination of the witnesses for the National Assembly on the grounds of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Noting that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, did not appear during the afternoon sitting of the Senate on Thursday, 17th October 2024, further noting that counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, sought an adjournment of the Senate until Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024 at 9 a.m. to allow His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, to appear and give evidence, if any, on grounds for his proposed removal from office by impeachment. Further noting that pursuant to Article 145(4) of the Constitution, a proposed impeachment hearing for the removal from office of a Deputy President must be concluded within 10 days from the date of the reading of the charges, which period in this case expires on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves as follows. 1, to adjourn today's afternoon sitting on Thursday, the 17th of October 2024, and pursuant to Standing Order number 34(4)(c) of the Senate Standing Orders, to hold sittings on Saturday, 19th of October 2024, commencing at 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. and 2:30 until the conclusion of business in the order paper on that day. In order to conclude the hearing and determination of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, this is a self-explanatory procedural motion that, in light of the request of counsel for the Deputy President, this House adjourns until the closest time possible without violation of the Constitution within which we can sit and conclude on this matter. As I move this motion, though, Mr. Speaker, I must note that the request that came from counsel for the Deputy President, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, is that we actually sit on Tuesday. I am sure he knows very well the 10-day provision, but I don't know why he wants this House to violate the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, or at least send us into a constitutional crisis. Be that as it may, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues that let us sit on that Saturday, despite the fact that I know there are quite a number of Adventists, but duty calls, Mr. Speaker. And this is an important exercise that has the breadth of the country holding still while watching what is happening in the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I want to request the minority leader, Senator Justice Stewart Madzayo, to second this motion. I thank you. Justice retired Stewart Madzayo. Sorry, my apologies.
Order, 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 honorable senators. You know, it pays to be attentive. I've just said this is a procedural motion. It does not require notice. Senator Karungo.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwanza nataka kuunga mkono hoja hii ya kwamba tuweze pia kupata nafasi ya kuweza kuketi ama kusikiza maoni haya siku ya Jumamosi, kuanzia leo mpaka Jumamosi, kupewa nafasi hiyo. Bwana Spika, tunaelewa ya kwamba hii ni kesi muhimu sana na macho yote katika nchi hivi sasa yanaegezwa katika bunge la Senate. Nataka kumpatia pole sana kupitia kwa wakili ambaye ni senior counsel wetu na ni wakili mkubwa katika Kenya, ndugu yangu Paul Mwite, kwamba yule client wako amekuwa mgonjwa wakati huu. Najua ni ugonjwa ni kitu cha Mwenyezi Mungu. Hatuwezi sisi tukasema ya kwamba mtu hawezi kuwa mgonjwa. Mtu yote anaweza kuwa mgonjwa. Kwa hiyo nataka umpatie pole. Senate imempatia pole na kwamba tunamtakia kila laheri aweze Mwenyezi Mungu kumpatia nafuu, alafu tuweze kumpata hapa. Bwana Spika, tuko katika panda mbili hivi sasa. Ni mgonjwa na tuendelee, ama ni mgonjwa na tusiendelee. Tumpatie nafasi. Kama binadamu naweza kusema kwamba ni nafasi nzuri tuonyeshe binadamu kama maseneta ama nyumba ya Senate, kwamba tumpatie nafasi ya yeye akiwa yuko hospitali aweze kuweza kupata nafuu katika matibabu yake. Bwana Spika, mswada huu umekuja wakati mzuri na kwamba tunaweza kumpatia hiyo nafasi. Naunga mkono hoja hii. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Now, honorable senators, I'll proceed to propose a question, which is that aware that the National Assembly on the 8th of October 2024 resolved with the support of 282 members, being at least 2/3 of all members of the National Assembly, that pursuant to the provisions of Article 145(2) as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution and Standing Order 65(2) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, be removed from office by impeachment on the grounds specified in the special motion. Whereas by a letter reference NA/DLP/TBO/MTS/2024 into brackets 025 dated the 8th of October 2024 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 9th of October 2024, the Speaker of the National Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the special motion by the National Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the National Assembly. And whereas via Kenya Gazette number 13178, volume CXX V1, number 163, dated the 9th of October 2024, and Article 145(3)(a) of the Constitution, the Speaker of the Senate appointed Wednesday, the 16th of October 2024, and Thursday, 17th of October 2024, as sittings convened for the purpose of hearing the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, in plenary. Further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate heard the National Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution and Standing Orders 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate also had counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, during cross-examination of the witnesses for the National Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Noting that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, did not appear during the afternoon sitting of the Senate on Thursday, the 17th of October 2024, Further, noting that counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, sought an adjournment of the Senate until Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024 at 9 a.m. to allow His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, to appear and give evidence, if any, on the grounds for his proposed removal from office by impeachment. Further, noting that pursuant to Article 145(4) of the Constitution, a proposed impeachment hearing for the removal from office of a Deputy President must be concluded within 10 days from the date of the reading of the charges, which period in this case expires on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves the following: to adjourn the afternoon sitting of Thursday, 17th October 2024, and pursuant to Standing Order 34(4)(c) of the Senate Standing Orders, to hold sittings on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024, commencing at 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. until conclusion of business in the order paper of the day, in order to conclude the hearing and determination of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Now, honorable senators, we have been here before. This is a procedural motion. We rarely debate procedural motions. It's either we agree with it or we don't agree with it. And therefore, with your consensus, I may move to put the question. Very well. I will now proceed to put the question. That aware that the National Assembly on the 8th of October 2024 resolved with the support of 282 members, being at least 2/3 of all members of the National Assembly, that pursuant to the provisions of Article 145(2), as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Order 65(2) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, be removed from office by impeachment on the grounds specified in the special motion. Whereas by a letter reference NA/DLP/TBO/MTS/2024 into brackets 025, dated the 8th of October 2024, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 9th of October 2024, the Speaker of the National Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the special motion by the National Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the National Assembly. And whereas via Kenya Gazette number 13178, volume CXX V1, number 163, dated the 9th of October 2024, and Article 145(3)(a) of the Constitution, the Speaker of the Senate appointed Wednesday, the 16th of October 2024, and Thursday, 17th of October 2024, as sittings convened for the purpose of hearing the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, in plenary. Further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate had the National Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate also had counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, during cross-examination of the witnesses of the National Assembly on the grounds of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Noting that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, did not appear during the afternoon sitting of the Senate on Thursday, the 17th of October 2024, further noting that the counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, sought an adjournment of the Senate until Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024 at 9 a.m. to allow His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, to appear and give evidence, if any, on the grounds for his proposed removal from office by impeachment. Further, noting that pursuant to Article 145(4) of the Constitution, a proposed impeachment hearing for the removal from office of the Deputy President must be concluded within 10 days from the date of the hearing of reading of the charges, which period in this case expires on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves, 1, to adjourn the afternoon sitting of Thursday, 17th of October 2024, and pursuant to Standing Order 34-4C of the Senate Standing Orders, to hold sittings on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024, commencing at 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. until conclusion of business in the order paper of the day, in order to conclude the hearing and determination of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. Now, honorable senators, the motion having been defeated, we will proceed with the hearing program as had been circulated this afternoon, in which case then we will move to closing statements by the parties. Yes, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, through you, let me recognize the right of this Honorable Senate to decide any issue, any question put to it democratically, which, Mr. Speaker, is what has happened. Arising from that decision of this Honorable Senate, Mr. Speaker, we as the legal team representing the Deputy President are not able to continue appearing without instructions. So we humbly and with a lot of respect take your leave, Mr. Speaker, and the leave of this Honorable House. Thank you.
Now, honorable senators, we shall move to hear the closing statements by Counsel for the National Assembly. Clerk, you may now proceed to read the order.
Order number 3, hearing and determination on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Counsel for the National Assembly, the floor is yours. You have up to 60 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Statement.
On behalf of the National Assembly, we have a total of 4 advocates who would be sharing the time that is allocated to us. Leading the pack, Mr. Speaker, sir, is Senior Counsel Otiende Amolo, to whom I will cede the floor.
Honorable Speaker, honorable senators, I thank you. And this being my maiden appearance on this matter, I sincerely hope I did not drive my learned friend and his team away. But, Honorable Speaker, Kenya is indeed a mature democracy. We are so mature that, Mr. Speaker, we gave ourselves the most modern constitution in recent history 14 years ago. We are so mature that 7 years ago, we had the nullification of the only presidential election.
Honorable senators, Senator Fernandi, take your seat. Senator Kipsang, may the Counsel for the National Assembly be heard in silence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 7 years ago, we had the nullification of the only presidential election known to history. And today, Mr. Speaker, we are conducting impeachment proceedings unknown to this continent outside of the removal proceedings in a parliamentary system in South Africa. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you and the Senate for demonstrating the maturity of a democracy. So much so that even when the deputy president is unable to appear without anything on record, this Honorable Senate has accorded the deputy speaker the opportunity, the deputy president, the opportunity for his counsel to be present, and they have voluntarily exited. The right to appear in person or by counsel is a right under Article 145. But like every other right, you can choose to exercise it or not to exercise it. The idea and the fact of these impeachment proceedings being open as they are and being so democratic, even to vote on the procedural motion, shows how mature our country has become. Mr. Speaker, before the 2010 Constitution, we would not have been here for this process for 2 days. We would not have been taking this process in the National Assembly. The president would sack the vice president at whims, including for not liking the color of his shoes. The fact that we are here in a situation where to impeach a deputy president, we have to go through these processes, Mr. Speaker, it shows our maturity. But let it not be mistaken, Mr. Speaker, as some people have, that the process of impeachment is a criminal trial. When you hear people ask the mover of the motion, do you have any proof? Can you demonstrate? It means they are confusing this process with a criminal process. It is not a criminal process. Mr. Speaker, what we have in impeachment is a halfway house between the whim before 2010 and the beyond reasonable doubt proof in a criminal trial. In the words of Article 50, all you have to show is reason to believe. Reason to believe. What the lawyers would call just a prima facie case. You do not have to demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt. So all the questions that I had my learned friends putting to the mover to prove, to demonstrate, they look good to the public gallery, but they add no value to the test for impeachment. Mr. Speaker, impeachment is like a vote of confidence or a vote of no confidence. Just the same way when you vote the president and the deputy, no one asks you to justify why, because you exercise your discretion. When you lose that confidence, no one should ask you to demonstrate why. That is why it's a political process. Otherwise, it could have been a judicial process or a religious process. Mr. Speaker, it is important to make two distinctions. First, that in this process, you do not have to prove anything beyond reasonable doubt. That's number one. The beyond reasonable doubt can come later when the other processes come in, like the investigative agencies. Number two, Mr. Speaker, in courts, our courts use an adversarial system where you bring all the documents and you are restricted to what you have brought. The process in this house is inquisitorial under Article 145 all the way to 149. And therefore, it allows this house to go beyond what the mover has brought or beyond what the other witnesses have brought. And this house has exercised that jurisdiction quite maturely. Mr. Speaker, I want to suggest that the idea of impeachment is one which is legal in process only, legal in process, but political in content and merit. As long as all the legal processes for fair hearing are observed, it is not open to anyone to question the merit in terms of the decision of the National Assembly or the Senate, because the safeguard is in the numbers. That is why before you move it in the National Assembly, you need 117 members. For it to pass, you need at least 2/3. Even in this House, you need 2/3. That is the safeguard. The safeguard is not in the legal technicalities. Mr. Speaker, for that reason, while it looks juicy and it looks very good to the gallery to have that intense cross-examination such as we saw of the mover of the motion, Mr. Speaker, it is irrelevant. It is highly irrelevant, and to the untrained eye, they might think you are achieving much, but you are not achieving much. It must be remembered that the impeachment here is of the deputy president, not the mover of the motion. So however much you discredit the mover of the motion, you do your client no justice when you do not address the substance of what is moved. Mr. Speaker, allow me to refocus on Article 150. Article 150 makes a very important distinction And I heard the lawyers of the Deputy President saying that, there's precedent. There is no precedent in our courts in terms of impeachment. There's precedent in terms of removal from office of governors under Article 181. The word used is removal. The word impeachment does not appear in Article 181. But when you come to Article 150, two words are used. You can remove the Deputy President first, Mr. Speaker, under 151A, under 151 is removal. To that extent, the question of removal in 151, you can use the same standards in Article 181. But B, it says, or on impeachment. There is no other provision for impeachment, and we have not undertaken impeachment in this country. For that reason, Mr. Speaker, while the wording might look similar, the principles are different. Because for removal, for example, under 151, is a strict legal process. You have to show and demonstrate that the Deputy President, has physical or mental incapacity. But when it comes to impeachment, it's a different matter. It's more of a political matter. Mr. Speaker, impeachment is a demonstration of impropriety, of unfitness for office, of it taking political responsibility. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, in a representative democracy, it is the way of unvoting someone you had voted. Otherwise, you would be having a fresh election to decide, should we now remove this person from office? It is too expensive. The fact, Mr. Speaker, that you have 82% in the National Assembly voting for impeachment, and 2/3 if it succeeds in this House, you translate it to the millions that it represents. In the National Assembly, 82% translate to about 42 million out of the 50 million Kenyans. That is a significant number. Mr. Speaker, if this House is equally to vote, you translate it to the equivalent number of people it's representing. It is not a heavy matter. If it was any less, it would have been a decision for a single judge. Mr. Speaker, allow me to address two things, then I sit, in terms of substance. One, you have 11 charges. 4 of those charges oscillate around one issue, and that is the utterances by the Deputy President. And the charge is he made insightful and discriminatory utterances to the effect that only those who voted for the Kenya Kwanza are entitled to resources and positions in government in Kenya. That is the summary of that charge. That charge is contained in ground 1, ground 5, ground 6, and ground 10. I want to submit, Mr. Speaker, that if you find even only that one charge to have been satisfied, then I want to implore the senators to vote yes for all those 4 grounds together. Has it been satisfied? Mr. Speaker, those utterances are admitted by the Deputy President in the documents before you. The meanings of those words in their variety is known to you and is known to Kenyans. The danger in words is something we know in this country way back in 2007. In our neighboring country, Rwanda, we know what words did. I heard the lawyers of the Deputy President suggest that he did not take any action. Under the law, under Article 10, under Article 27, you do not have to take any action. Utterances are enough, because utterances can do the very damage that the Constitution intends not to be done. Mr. Speaker, what is his response to that charge? There are 2. The first one is he was exercising free speech. Mr. Speaker, that is the easiest to dismiss. I invite the senators to look at Article 33, 2D, Roman 2. It is express, and it says, freedom of expression cannot include advocacy for discrimination, and that's what he was doing. What's the second defense? That whatever he was saying is contained in the various coalition agreements under the Kenya Kwanza coalition that were filed and signed before election. Mr. Speaker, with tremendous respect, allow me to remind the Deputy President that this is the Republic of Kenya, not the Republic of Kenya Kwanza. Mr. Speaker, for that reason, You cannot elevate agreements under the Kenya Kwanza coalition above the legislation of this country, above the constitution of this country. Section 13 of the NCIC Act is very clear that those utterances are unlawful, in fact criminal. Article 10 and Article 27 of the Constitution are equally clear that you cannot make such utterances. So to come and say that I uttered them because they are contained in a coalition for one particular political coalition is in fact an admission. It is an admission of violation of the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, if members wanted one clear admission of guilt, it is this one. It is not denied. The justification cannot stand. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, once one of the senators asked, for the justification, and I had the lawyers refer to the Schedule 3 of the Political Parties Act. Mr. Speaker, I invite the senators to look at Schedule 3, Clause 3E. It is very specific. It talks of sharing positions in the coalition structure, not sharing positions in government. And to try and mislead this august House makes it an aggravation of a wrong. And I invite you, Mr. Speaker, to find that there was a breach of this. And I think the worst of all is we were able to play a clip of the Deputy President after showing what he had uttered, saying that he has no apology. He said he has no apology. The clip was played here. I invite you to look at the 798 pages that he has filed. There is nowhere where he has rendered an apology. So he leaves you in a position where he says, even if he was not impeached, he will continue doing that because in his view, it is justified by the Kenya Kwanza coalition. Mr. Speaker, I invite the honorable senators to find that this ground has been proved and to impeach the Deputy President on ground 1, ground 5, ground 6, and ground 10 for breach of the NCIC Act, Section 13, and breach of Article 10 and 27 of the Constitution. My last point, Mr. Speaker, allegations of corruption. Mr. Speaker, this House has had the various allegations of corruption. You had the very direct evidence of Dr. Mulwa in terms of KEMSA. You had the very direct evidence of the Deputy CEO of ESCC. You had the various evidence in terms of Olive Garden, Vipingo, Outspan, and many others. But I will not go there. I will let you assess that, and my colleagues will address that. I want to address one fundamental thing. In your bundle, honorable senators, in volume 2A of the exhibit, you will find reference to a particular court decision. This is the decision on page 60 of 123. That is the decision in Asset Recovery Agencies versus Gachagua. This decision was referred to, but I just want to take you directly to the finding on page 77. This was a case that the Asset Recovery Agency filed against the Deputy President. And this case was actually finalized 10 days before the last general election. What did the court find? The court found positively and declared that Rigathi Gachagua was found to have been having funds which were proceeds of crime and therefore liable for forfeiture to the state to the extent of 200 million. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that in the 798 pages of the document filed by the Deputy President, there is not a single document that shows that this judgment has been set aside, has been compromised, or revoked. In an inquisitorial system, you do not need to restrict yourself. Where there's a judgment produced that shows that you have been found guilty of having proceeds of crime, the expectation would be that you produce a document negating it. The fact that no document has been produced, I invite you to invoke an adverse inference that either there is no such document, or if there is, it does not deal with that finding. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that there's good reason why that document was not produced. Why would you produce all the agreements of Kenya Kwanza and produce all sorts of other things except one page of a document that is the most important document? As it is, you do not have any document that shows that this finding was negated. Mr. Speaker, I want to suggest that had it been produced, we would then have demonstrated that that document is unlawful. Because in law, and I submit respectfully, once you have been found guilty of what amounts to a criminal offense, you cannot then subsequently compromise it, because this is not a civil claim. A crime is a crime against the state. It is not personal to the Asset Recovery Agency. And therefore, those findings can only be set aside by positive findings of a superior court, and there's none. So the record shows that Rigathi Gachagua was convicted of corruption. And what that means, Mr. Speaker, that not only was he convicted, but even to come here and allege that he was convicted and thereafter, you know, they entered some sort of negotiation is in itself evidence of abuse of power. Because he was convicted 10 days before election, shortly thereafter, it is alleged they compromised it in what would be an illegality. Mr. Speaker, on that account, ground 7 of the charge must succeed. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, I plead with you to find the Deputy President guilty of the grounds as charged. Thank you very much. Allow me now to introduce the Honorable George Murugara to take over.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and honorable senators. My name is George Gitonga Murugara, Member of Parliament, National Assembly, and the Chairperson of the Justice and Legal Affairs, and I'm here to represent the National Assembly with my colleagues. Honorable Speaker and senators, I'll deal with only one point which supports ground number 11 on the impeachment. And the ground 11 is insubordination and failure to actually act collectively with the other members of the cabinet and the presidency. There was an argument that was raised that some of the alleged misconduct on the part of the deputy president were actually committed when he was not the deputy president and therefore do not apply to the proceedings before this House. Reference is made to Article 151B of the Constitution, which provides that the ground for impeachment would only be serious consideration of serious reasons to believe that an offense has been committed. There is no time limit that is set, because once there are reasons to believe that an offense has been committed, then that stretches back to whatever time that offense would have been committed. This is to say, if in the pendency of the life of the presidency or the deputy president, it is discovered that before you assume the office, you committed an offense, that forms a ground for impeachment. This leads me to the next argument, which are the admissions that the deputy president actually made before the House. Clearly, he admitted that the issue of shareholding in Kenya was live, and he was part and parcel of it. Therefore, Kenyans were shareholders. He actually admitted in the House and also in the press in the country that he believed the president was behind this motion. He also admitted that he had actually gone against the principle of collective responsibility on the basis that the cabinet had made unconstitutional decisions, which decisions he had to disobey. He also went on to dismiss this parliament as a theater of the absurd, and that he did not expect much from here. The question is this, and that honorable senators, you have to grapple with. If the deputy president was actually to be saved by this house, with whom would he work? He would not work with the Kenyans whom he has antagonized with his shareholding notion that he has spread across the country. Number two, he would have difficulty serving with his boss whom he has accused of being behind this motion. He would not actually work with the cabinet where he is responsible for everything that is done in the cabinet and the sub-cabinet committees brought together by the principle of collective responsibility. He would not be able to work with this parliament, which he has called a theater of the absurd. With whom would he work? This is the question you have to ask yourselves. What we have before us today is like a marriage, and I have to draw that analogy because actually the position occupied by the subject of the discussion and the motion, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, is now untenable. He cannot hold that position because his position is irretrievable. He cannot work with any of the organs and bodies he's supposed to work with. Therefore, the position being irretrievable, then it means actually he has to be impeached. And I implore upon you to actually do so where a marriage is irretrievably broken. You cannot apply any law. The marriage is gone. Whichever law you try to apply, it does not matter. For the deputy president today, we cannot apply any measure of legality